makes me feel like a man.
You want every team to lose any other game? Sorry. Bailey Zappi just did another time. You know what? Whoa, time out. Are you kidding? That's what I'm gonna try to drop a mic. Welcome to the Warner Brothas Podcast. My name is Keenan, joined by my brother Kyle, joined by Tim in preparation for one of probably our top 6 most fun shows of the year, guys. How's everyone doing waiting for the NFL playoffs?
I'm great. It's been a weird day. Obviously, we got the dismissal of Bill Belichick. We've had some weird coaching decisions, honestly. If you count Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel. So Belichick was added to that list, but yeah, different day for sure. Haven't had a free slot open for a coach in pretty much my entire football fandom, like literally my entire football fandom. I think my first year I started watching was the first year Belichick was head coach. So it's a weird feeling for sure.
Yeah. Timmy, how you doing?
Pretty good. Some of these decisions to let some coaches go were kind of shocking. Definitely didn't think Vrabel would be let go. I didn't even think he was even in. I didn't think his seat was warm for the way they finished the season with the team that they had. I didn't think that was really going to happen. The situation with him is I kind of think that's exactly what Kyle was saying about Belichick was if he's fired, he's unemployed for a couple days. Like Vrabel's going to get hired somewhere, whether it's defensive coordinator or head coach, he's going to find a place. So that one didn't really make sense. And then Pete Carroll stepping down, but he's staying with the team, so that at least will help them a little bit. So
Yeah, it was such an odd, 24 hours. I mean, I mentioned it in the group chat once I saw the Bill Belichick thing, officially this morning. It was that's 3 Hall of Fame coaches in 48 hours that were either retired, relieved, or stepped down. And obviously that doesn't include Mike Vrabel, who's a very good coach in his own right. The first thing that came to my mind before we go into the whole part Belichick part, definitely for us, but then we can talk Saban and Carroll. First thing that hopped into my mind real quickly was man, this would be one of the greatest Hall of Fame classes of all time. And just because obviously I'm not that even Bill Belichick's done, obviously, but I think instantly thought of imagine if LeBron, Steph, and KD retired in the same year and they all went to the same Hall of Fame class. That's what it kind of mentally felt like to me, even though all of them are still not going to be done coaching. Bill Belichick still will be. But Kyle, as the half of the Warner Brothas Podcast, half of a Patriots fandom here, what were your thoughts instantly when you saw the Bill Belichick news this morning? I'm assuming you saw it, perusing Twitter, or however you saw it.
So actually, I saw it via our group chat. I saw someone, I guess it was you, that said, "Wow, Belichick, Carroll, and Saban all, are free agents within a span of 24 hours." And I'm like, really? And then I scroll down my phone. I see that I got the notifications for it, and I'm like, well, shit. That's really all my reaction was. I mean, I was kind of desensitized to it because we've almost heard it since week 6, and bum-ass Patriots fans have been calling for his job since the Cam Newton season. So as far as, the reports go, like I said, it's been since mid-season. So really, yeah, I was desensitized to it, and I was half expecting it. I was honestly more shocked about Pete Carroll than Belichick.
Yeah, same.
So probably much like Brady, because, we'd heard for the whole year leading up to Brady's eventual leaving of the Patriots that he could possibly not come back, that he probably wasn't coming back. And honestly, Brady's, not being on the Patriots, that didn't hit me until, we saw him actually taking snaps for the Bucs or him coming back to Foxborough. So I don't think it'll actually hit me till I see the Belichick press conference. Honestly, I have a lot of the same feelings about when Tom Brady left.
Did you see his press conference with Robert Kraft of him talking about parting ways?
I was at work. I saw maybe a minute or two of it where he said his piece and then he handed the mic over to Robert Kraft. That's all I saw. So I'll probably check it out after the podcast, the full conference. But I feel a lot of the same as with Brady. Like, okay, Brady's gone, but y'all better have a plan, which at that time was Cam Newton, which seemed okay, but they didn't even really have a plan after Cam. Like, they took Mac Jones, but I don't know if they necessarily want to draft Mac Jones. I think he was the best quarterback available. In this case, you have Vrabel right there. I think the original plan was, had Belichick finish his contract out, which would have been the upcoming season, that Gerard Mayo was to take over. I'm very interested to see. I think it's one of the two. I think it's either Mayo or Vrabel. And I think if Vrabel wasn't a free agent, I think it would definitely be Mayo, or maybe even Belichick comes back. I do wonder if this was all anchored by Vrabel becoming available. Because, yeah, I mean, look, Pete Carroll and Belichick, both of their last conferences after the game on Sunday were very similar. They were both like, yeah, we'd like to come back. I'm ready to coach, da-da-da. And, next thing we know, surprise, surprise. Again, with Belichick, it was less of a surprise. But I feel the same, though. Like, if you're going to let go of Belichick, you're going to look silly if he goes to his next destination and they're a contender, or they're, in the divisional round at the least, because he definitely still has it. Sure, he didn't do the best general manager job, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but dude can still coach and coach at a high level. I hope it is Vrabel. I hope it is Gerard Mayo to keep that, that Patriot way style going. I think they will bring the same type of culture, obviously a little different than Belichick. Belichick kind of runs his ship very tight. I'm sure there'll be a little more of a player's coach, especially on Mayo's side. Vrabel seems to be honestly like a younger Belichick, at least. So I'm interested to see what's next. It's definitely a weird feeling, but very thankful for what Coach Belichick did for our franchise, for sure. So weird day, but very thankful. I mean, come on. We had more success than tons of franchises combined. So yeah, literally anyone ever. So I can't be mad. I can't be mad at him being dismissed because he gave us so much.
Literally anyone ever. Timmy, you go on, because I have a few things I want to bring up too while talking about Bill Belichick, but you go.
I did see I think it was on Instagram, where they were saying Gerard Mayo was like the favorite or one of the favorites to land that job. So if the transition plan was for next year and they're just pushing it up a year, might still work out just fine for them. I'm actually kind of excited to see where Belichick goes. Because, like, if I'm thinking of a team that could really use him, I'm thinking the Atlanta Falcons could be a Super Bowl caliber team if they find the right quarterback and if Bill Belichick's their coach. Because one of the biggest problems with their offense this year was they didn't have a lot of talent. But the Falcons have a ton of talent, ton of young talent. And if he can go in there and make their defense play to where they're in every single game and they find a quarterback, Russell Wilson maybe Justin Fields, could be a completely different team next year. So I'm excited.
Yeah. So, few things. One, quickly on the Patriots side before I address the Bill Belichick side. On the Patriots side, thank you, Bill Belichick, for 24 years of greatness. I understand that the last few years had some turbulence to them, and I understand that I was even one that thought that a mutual parting of ways at the end of the season might be best. Fresh start for both sides. But thank you for everything. That is 6 Super Bowls. That is, I think, 10 AFC championships. I couldn't ask for more. 9 AFC championships. Couldn't ask for more. It was a phenomenal ride. Absolutely. So first thing, that was that. I gotta obviously say that to Bill. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Patriots. It feels weird now officially because it officially now feels like a new Patriots team. Like with Bill there, like it was Tom and Bill clearly. And then you still had Bill. So now it completely feels like this is going to be the first time in my lifetime I have a new Patriots regime. Even if it's Mike Vrabel, who was an ex-Patriot, or Gerard Mayo, ex-Patriot, it's still a different, because it's not Bill and it's not Tom. So I'm very intrigued to see that. On the Patriots side, what I'd like to see us do, just like ideas, I'd like to sign Vrabel. I would like to either obtain Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, trade second for Justin Fields, or get Russell Wilson, and then draft a wide receiver. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. would be great, and sign Derrick Henry. I think that Derrick Henry, Derrick Henry's press conference, after after the last game, he was talking to the fans as if that was his last time. So I think that if you were to bring Vrabel and Derrick Henry there to pair with Ramondre Stevenson and either go the Justin Fields, Russell Wilson route there and get a receiver, or draft Jaden Daniels and get another number one wide receiver in free agency. Mike Evans is someone who comes to mind. Mike Williams, T. Higgins. I'm not sure if he had to be able to facilitate a deal for Stephon Diggs or something like that, but you can see there's a little turbulence there in Buffalo. But A.J. Brown, even, he seems sometimes to be disgruntled and unhappy there in Philly. We never know. There's options, clearly many options, but that's some like area I want to go with the Patriots, but that's less of the importance here. Bill Belichick. He's got it completely defensively. I completely agree with Kyle there. He can still coach. He completely has it coaching wise defensively for sure. He is someone who I think needs to get to like a contending team, of course, or a team who can contend instantly. He's not going to be here for a 5 to 10 year build. Could he? Theoretically, yes. I don't assume that he wants to go into somewhere like it wouldn't have made sense for Tom to go to a team who really needed to be rebuilt. The Bucs had everything they needed. They just needed a quarterback and a leader. So 3 teams. I'm going to throw these teams out here to you from least to one. Team's the Chargers. I think the Chargers with Justin Herbert. You have Derwin James. You have Joey Bosa. I know they're kind of on contracts. They can try to figure that out, but defensive talent there. They need a leader. They need a mature adult in there to round things up. You have already a nice quarterback. That's 1. 2, I don't know if they'll actually fire their these 2, I don't know if they'll ever fire their head coaches, so they may not happen. But if I'm the Jags, I think about firing Doug Peterson and getting Bill Belichick. Again, you have Josh Allen defensively. You have a very close, trying to be a superstar end. He was great this year. You can draft corners. You know how to do that. You know how to coach a defense. And offensively, getting the problem with the Jags, they got a lot of turnovers, but they let up a lot of yards, and they could be Swiss cheese at times. I think that Bill Belichick could do a very good job in Jacksonville getting that team right, adding, obviously, and then having Trevor Lawrence there, becoming more of a balanced team as well in that aspect. And the third one, this one would be if they flame out in the playoffs, and it would be the Cowboys. Makes sense to me.
Cowboys. Let me answer this first because I was actually going to bring up the Cowboys, the C words themselves, actually, because I had the same idea. When you look at it, yes, Pete Carroll could be in the front office. That's what they say. But his press conference very much alluded to like, yeah, I'd love to still coach. Yeah, I still got it. I didn't want to leave. You know what I mean? So I do wonder if the right opportunity came up, if Pete would still coach. And I say that to say, like, let's say let's call him a half free agent, Pete Carroll. That means you got Vrabel, Belichick, Carroll, and Jim Harbaugh, and possibly Antonio Pierce if they don't bring him back, and the Raiders as free agents. And that's not even counting who might get fired because of the playoffs. And I think I'm missing someone in general there who would be, a lucrative free agent. I don't think there's that many desirable jobs, especially if you're Bill Belichick. The one at the most would probably be who Tim mentioned, which would be the Falcons. There's been rumors this whole entire year of the Commanders for Belichick. And that seems to be just the same as the Pats, just with more offensive talent. They have
64 maybe.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean,
cool.
they've got a ton of offensive talent, I believe, but they're in position for a quarterback that they're probably going to draft, the Commanders. That doesn't make sense to me.
Interesting if they kept Chase Young and Montrez Sweat, maybe.
Right.
Like if you would have unless you gave up your defense, you're clearly that'd be a disservice to that quarterback. You want a coach quarterback combination that's going to grow for 10, 15 years is what your hope is.
Right.
But go on.
Herbert and the Chargers, that makes the most sense, but Harbaugh's heavily linked to them. So it seems like he's the front runner for that job.
It would be better for them to get Harbaugh than it would be for Belichick, in my opinion.
Either or, really. I mean, honestly, you put Belichick.
I don't think it's a bad.
You put Belichick on the Chargers, they're a contending team, in my opinion. Immediately, with the talent they have on that defense and offense, they got talent on both sides of the ball. You need let's be real. You had a JV coach in there before. You get Belichick in there, that's instantly a double-digit win team, in my opinion. But the fact that if it's not the Chargers, then the Falcons are your best option. And if not the Falcons, then who else? Yeah, to me, it's really got to be the Cowboys. And honestly, I mean, look, we'll talk about it later. Obviously, we'll go through with our picks and our whole predictions for the entire postseason. But, I mean, it's all laid out for the Cowboys to at least make it to the NFC Championship game. And let's say that does happen. Let's say they make it to the NFC Championship game and lose to whoever. On a normal year, I would say McCarthy comes back. McCarthy's done nothing but good things for the Cowboys. But let's say they just lose 3 points, 6 points, blowout, whatever. Any sort of loss, I could see Jerry Jones being like, yeah, Belichick's right there. Belichick's still a free agent. Fuck it. Like, that would make the most sense. And much like the Brady free agency, when there was literally only the Bucks and the Niners out there, everyone was like, yeah, it's going to be the Niners. Why would Brady go to the Bucks? Like, you'd figure Brady would go to a Blue Bloods franchise. There was even Cowboys rumors during that time. It would be very weird for Belichick to be, even though they have a talented roster, to be a Chargers coach, to be a Falcons coach. Those just aren't blue blood franchises of the NFL. So it would make sense in a way, the Commanders, but they don't got the talent. They're not contending.
They don't have the same merit.
Yeah. I mean, they're still a blue blood franchise. They're an OG franchise, but, you know, to me, what makes the most sense would be the Cowboys. So that's what I'm really looking out for, is if the Cowboys at all, like you said, flame out or even get to the championship game and lose. I could see if Belichick's still a free agent by, you know, late January, I guess a couple weeks from now. Yeah, I could see him saying, fuck it. McCarthy did a great job, but Belichick for sure will take this team over the top. So I'm very interested in that situation.
Just to quickly go on before I let Timmy go, it would be pretty much what like the Warriors did with Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr, in the sense of the Warriors were a 50-win team, went to 7 with the Clippers, a better Clippers team. They got a better coach in to try to do that. 1, 2, I think Dan Quinn is a possibility that he goes somewhere after this year, the way he's been coaching defensively. So the guy who's been orchestrating one of the best defenses in the league over the last 3-4 years would be gone. So you would have, so bringing in a defensive mind would make sense. And then obviously he did coach Lawrence Taylor. People are calling him like a modern day Lawrence Taylor. I don't fully agree with that, but obviously basically what I'm saying is an elite pass rusher on the outside who is very versatile. Bill Belichick knows how to coach that better than anybody. He's already coached Stephon Gilmore. We know how, Kyle and I, you know exact for sure, Bill Belichick loves to have a number one shutdown corner. That's one thing in his defense he's always wanted. From Ty Law, Asante Samuel, Aqib Talib, Darrell Revis, Stephon Gilmore, Malcolm Butler wasn't shut down like that, but he was playing very good when he at the peak of his powers. So he's always wanted that, and they've got 2. I mean, we got to remember Trevon Diggs is out, Stephon Gilmore, and they got Deron Bland too, who is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year this year. So defensively, they've got all the tools, and they could be even a slightly better defense than they were this year, which is scary. And then offensively, you have a guy. There's not going to be a better guy to really learn from than for Dak than Bill. I mean, you need to learn defenses. Who's going to know defenses better than Bill? So I think the Cowboys would make perfect sense, and anything short of a Super Bowl appearance, I think that Mike McCarthy could definitely be let go.
Definitely. And I get,
but Timmy, you're after Kyle.
I was just going to say, I mean, on a normal year, like I think McCarthy's safe in a normal year, like regardless, but yeah, no, given that Belichick's out there, yeah, his seat's just slightly hotter. And who knows? I mean, Jerry was pretty loyal to Jason Garrett, so who knows? Maybe he doesn't shut the door on him. But like you said, I absolutely
back in the day he did make his Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer kind of move. Like he kind of Jerry has different. Like in the back. They had real. That was different. Well, no, that was beef and a lot more stuff there. But I'm just saying.
But go ahead, Tim. Go ahead.
He does, but he wants a Super Bowl. But Timmy, you're good.
What do you guys think the chances are that Belichick doesn't sign as a head coach and just signs as a coordinator?
0.
You think there's any merit to that at all?
Unfortunately, I think that'd be really cool, but I don't think Bill could go from being a defensive coordinator, then being a coach for like 33 to 34 years, whatever, like his Browns to Jets to this tenure, and then being the greatest coach of all time to then just stepping back. And like,
yeah, I don't think any top-notch coach isn't going to do that. If you're Dan Quinn, a coach like that who's on the bubble and has to like prove himself for his next job, but if you're even like Vrabel, Carroll, any of these guys, you're pretty set in stone. So you're either coaching or, if they say the game's passed you by, which might happen to Pete, I think he should get another job, but yeah.
My only reason for asking that question is that kind of what Kyle just said, where the game's passed you by. I don't think the game's passed Belichick by in any sense, but after Brady, he definitely didn't seem to be able to put together an offense that would be able to win him a Super Bowl. The defense was always there, but the offense never was. So if he has to go to another team, maybe he has the similar path where it's just like struggle after struggle, but the defense is still there. And if he was just a defensive coordinator where an actual offensive-minded head coach is there or an offensive-minded offensive coordinator is there, they can at least do both and potentially have both. Just because in the last 5 years now, we've really seen the league switch to offensive-minded head coaches and not defensive-minded head coaches. So
that's why you'd want a great coordinator with him. And that's also why you would go into a situation and you wouldn't give him GM power and everything. So him going into a situation that already has, say, a Justin Herbert, or if he did get it, a Dak Prescott, I don't assume it to happen. There was a couple comments making the Eagles and going to jail or whatever quarterback, as long as there's a quarterback there that's set in stone, that's good to very good, even Trevor Lawrence level and above, I don't think you'll have too much of a problem with that. But I do get what you're saying, where offense has been his bugaboo over the last few years, but he doesn't have to build it. He just has to make sure it doesn't fall.
Yeah, and I would say to that, like, a big part of that problem was the OCs in New England. Belichick has had a poor record of drafting receivers, especially over the last 10 years. He's done okay at running back. Quarterback, obviously. I mean, he drafted Tom and he had Bledsoe, whatever, but hasn't done great at QB either necessarily. Honestly, I've talked about it a little bit here. I think he's a terrible drafter of offense in general, just evaluator, but he's also had some hits too. You know what I mean? So I think part of that's been a little overrated, just because if you look at the seasons before this season, they were basically a 500 team. So they were really a playmaker or even someone better than Mac Jones away from being a 10, 11 win team. This year, obviously, again, was terrible. But no, I think like Keenan said, if you go somewhere that has a good coordinator, you should be fine, because McDaniels got stale for sure. Patricia weirdly did a little better than Bill O'Brien, but Patricia's not the answer. And Bill O'Brien could have done a lot better this year, I think, even though Zappe looked better than Mac Jones. So, yeah, like Keenan said, if he goes somewhere with a good coordinator, all should be good, because, he coaches all three phases. He coaches offense. He coaches defense. Heavy on the special teams. So, yeah.
Okay.
Now, real quick on that, it's confusing to me because a lot of the times when head coaches come in, they bring a regime with them. Like, they choose who their offensive coordinator is going to be. So say he goes to the Falcons, he's probably getting a new offensive coordinator. He's probably not staying with whoever.
It's probably McDaniels.
Yeah, and that's the thing is McDaniels worked with Brady, but we didn't really see him work with any other quarterback. Not Garoppolo, not any person. And Belichick has kind of a poor record of hiring offensive coordinators. You said Patricia, Bill O'Brien, even McDaniels only worked because Tom Brady was like the smartest quarterback in the world, and he could read those. Plus, makes it a lot easier when like three of the better wide receivers Tom Brady ever had were also quarterbacks. So they understood exactly, they were all on the same page about the offense because they were just way smarter. So it's interesting to see where he goes. Does he bring a coordinator? Does he hire a new one? Just because, like, if he goes to the Cowboys, I would probably say it would be best for them to keep their offensive coordinator. It's been working. But, like, if he brings a new one, I don't know. He hasn't had a great record with it. So
I actually weirdly could see McDaniels working with the Cowboys only just because they have a ton of talent. Like, they have a ton of offensive talent there already to where that could work. They've got good route runners. Dak's a smart enough.
It'd be hard not to make it work.
Right.
It'd be really hard to mess it up.
Whereas in the case, and they got offensive line talent, which is something that the Patriots long had for the entire regime. minus the last couple
But
of years.
he needs to go get Dante Scarnecchia again. Is what he needs
Yeah,
to do.
pull Dante out.
If he bring Dante out. I got one thing, guys. I got one thing. Say Bill goes to a team. Do you think Bill could try to coerce Tom out for a year in a tongue-in-cheek way?
I mean,
more so than like a serious way.
I mean,
but
I did say that was my bold prediction for 2024 was that Brady is going to come out of retirement. It's just a matter of for who. I guess I could. That might not work because he is technically owner of the Raiders, so it might have to be the Raiders, and that's a little less easier to fathom. But who knows? I'm going to stick to that prediction.
Bill Belichick goes to the Raiders. They don't give into. They put Antonio Pierce back to like a D coordinator. They get Tom, and then they.
Let me ask you guys this.
Oh, they could get Josh McDaniels back too.
That's right.
Yeah, they'd definitely be on
That's
board
probably-
with that. Why
that's
not?
probably-
They already owe him like $50 million.
They just re-up on the contract. They're like, we didn't rip this up, actually. Come back.
Work for
You can
free.
be the OC. Tom's the quarterback. We got Devontae. Jacoby Myers is already there. We got Josh Jacobs in a run game. You got Max Crosby. Hell, you got a Super Bowl caliber roster right there.
Let me ask you guys this. I'll start with Tim and then I'll go to Keenan because Keenan is the Patriots fan. Do you have a favorite Belichick moment, whether it be like because he's got some low key, he's got quite a bit of memes out there. He's got some gifs, got some memes. Like there's some Belichick internet lore out there. So do you have a favorite Belichick moment if it pertains to that or actually on the football field?
So pretty much every press conference that the man has ever attended are all just gold. I love it when a reporter asks him a question and he'll just look to the next reporter because he just doesn't care about stupid questions, things like that. There was one, I can't exactly remember the moment. You guys probably know it better than me, but they were playing the Jets, and I think the Jets had like a holding or a delay of game penalty that they were expecting him to just accept it, and he declined it. And it was just like this. He was just sitting on the sideline smiling. They're up like 40-3 or
because
something.
it was wasting because he declined it ended up running off like 40 more seconds. So he was playing chess to everybody's checkers in a move that didn't matter because they were already winning the game regardless.
Yeah, they were destroying
he was laughing.
It was just like he's just like yeah.
Like, okay,
that.
Bill.
That was really funny.
Okay. That's cute, Bill. My favorite. Okay, so obviously one of his most memorable is on to Cincinnati. That one makes me laugh every single time. Or Tim said that the cutoff hoodies is also a classic for Bill, of course. So that's just a classic Bill. My favorite Bill moment though, on the field was 2018 Super Bowl, holding the Rams to 3. I think that was a defensive masterclass. I think he was talking checkers and chess. He was playing chess with Sean McVay's checkers at that point. I understand Todd Gurley was starting to go a little bit in the weird side. That was like his playoff run towards the end where he was like half running and they had, I can't even remember the back's name. CJ Anderson, I think it was CJ, big boy CJ Anderson was like spelling him and actually running well. But yeah, that game there was his greatest show on turf 2.0. I only say that because it was the Rams. Obviously, the greatest show on turf was a better performance because that was a game they should not have won at all. But again, that was the highest scoring offense in the league. He held them to 3 points. I think that was a defensive masterclass by Bill. So that's my favorite on-field one. Off-field pressers, his outfit choice. He was a fun guy.
Yeah, to add to the press conferences, I saw one the other day, like his last one before like Sunday's game, and they were obviously asking about his future, and like he could barely contain himself from laughing when he's giving these dumbass answers. Like he's like, "Oh, we're just prepping for the Jets," and they're like, "Well, can you tell us how you'll feel like after the game?" And he would be like, "Well, I just said like I'm prepping for the Jets," and you could like tell he was trying not to crack a smile. And then I'm dying laughing watching it because like he's just trying not to, and he's like, "Well, we're just prepping for the Jets." Da da da. On field, it's got to be the non-timeout call that led to the Malcolm Butler interception. Because all of us were probably like at that time before the Marshawn Lynch carry that preceded the interception. There had to have been like a minute left plus, and I'm sure all Patriots fans were like, bro, call a timeout. We got Tom Brady. Like,
I just want him to let him
give
score.
us the last chance. Yeah,
I was
exactly.
like, throw him in the end zone.
Same exact scenario that happened with the Giants Super Bowl before that. And if you've seen the documentary that covers that 2014 season, like they go over how they practiced that exact play on the goal line with Malcolm Butler.
Yep.
Like, just shows you the foresight that Belichick had in his coaching staff, and what went into it with his coaching staff and how well prepared they were. And like, there's a guy called Ernie Adams. He's no longer employed by the Patriots, but he was just like a ridiculous scout. Like, would look up the most ridiculous things that probably most teams don't even think of that Belichick would later use. So that's a must watch. Even if you're not a Patriots fan, if you're just a football fan, it's a good watch. Yeah, off the field, got to be the press conferences. I saw one the other day. We actually brought it up, Keenan, a couple weeks ago when Gronk got held in the end zone Monday night game versus Carolina. And I don't know where I saw the clip, but it showed Belichick like grabbing the ref as he's walking off the field. And like, I remember that happening, but watching it now, I'm like, Belichick should have got suspended for like 3 games for that, because it was pretty physical. Like, he gave him a good shove. So I'd put that up there. He's known to talk shit to opposing players. So, I mean, anything off the field, Belichick is worth it. And that Jets one that Tim mentioned where he was like smirking devilishly because he got away with like wasting 2 minutes off the clock, that'd be up there as well.
Absolutely. He's funny. So he really is funny. Thank you to Bill Belichick for sure. Did you guys want to talk Pete Carroll, Nick Saban? I know we talked a little bit of Mike Vrabel, but did you guys want to go down the Seahawks or Alabama even route, or did you guys want to just hop right into these playoff predictions here?
I'm good to go right to playoffs. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about Pete Carroll or Mike Vrabel. I think if they both want head coaching jobs, they'll both get them. There's 25% of teams need a head coach right now. So, yeah, I don't really have much more to say on them. Nick Saban, congratulations on a great career, I guess. Pretty much dominated every single year that the man coached with every team that he coached for. So it's pretty impressive. Nobody else did it quite like he did.
For sure. Pete, just talking about him, like I've said it a number of times on here, he was low-key probably my favorite coach outside of Belichick. Like, matter of fact, when I was coaching you guys, Keenan, like I try to take Pete Carroll's attitude, like maybe not his intensity and his energy, because I'm not energetic like that, but definitely his like players first approach. So I really like those Seahawks teams. He was an institution there. So I'm going to miss him as the Seahawks coach. Sounds like Dan Quinn's going there, or is the favorite to go there. Vrabel, I'd low-key like to see him like as the Commanders coach, like just that whole regime, and see if he can bring that all the way back. Because, I mean, they're out of the Dan Schneider shadow. And who else? Saban, definitely an all-time great, obviously. Arguably the all-time greatest college coach. I'm a bit of a college sports hater, especially when it comes to college football, because it's like, okay, you're building all-star teams. You know what I mean? And it's like half your schedule, or maybe a quarter of your schedule. Half's not fair. Maybe a quarter of your schedule is teams you're supposed to beat. Another quarter of your schedule is teams that you could lose to, but you're not supposed to lose to. And you're really, and I could be wrong here, but it seems like 4 teams out of the whole year, maybe 6 when you get to bowl time. 6 teams that you're really like are on your level. So props to him. Definitely like
6 to 10, depending on on their level, probably like 6. Like this year per se, obviously Michigan won it. Washington was there, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Florida State with their healthy people. So those would be your 6. There's obviously
Oregon.
I was gonna say there's other teams like Oregon that were good as well. That definitely could have been in the conversation. And then like the 12-team playoff thing, I think is ridiculous, but that's a college.
Next year is going to be good when they actually expand. It's going to be good because we're going to see all those bad teams that don't deserve to be there get whooped in the first round, but then the actual contenders will be the second round playoffs. It'll be good next year.
I guess, yeah, but I guess also like I would have just extended it to 6 or like 8. I think 12 is unnecessary. I don't think 8. I think 8 through 12.
I think even with 12, there's going to be controversy. So getting to 6, you You still have controversy. Getting to 12 at least gets rid of we have at least the 8 for sure best teams in the college football playoffs right now. And then these other 4 are just conference winners.
Yeah, no, I guess it makes sense, but I mean, I just think I think that like it'll affect 1 out of every 15 years, maybe. Like maybe 1 out of every 15 to 20 years, you'll have like a genuine, like a true upset to where it could shake up what possibly could have been a national championship.
Well, I actually think it'll affect every single year because the teams that are coming in at 8 through 10 are probably going to be like SEC or even Big Ten teams that can give those 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds that are the champions a run for their money. Like if Tennessee comes in as an 8 seed, yeah, I'm not picking Tennessee to beat Georgia, but they can. Absolutely they can. And they could do that every single year depending on what team makes playoffs. So I think it's going to be really good next year.
So it's interesting too. I mean, because then you have like the teams, like how they're changing the conferences and how they're merging and like how I also think that's not going to go well. I mean, we're going on a college football little tangent. I think that's going to go terribly. I think like when you have Washington going to see Michigan, I think that's going to be, I mean, like during the regular season, like, they just play 2 completely different styles of football to where in Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, all of that kind of, that's ground and pound. That's winning lines at the trenches. And then you have the USCs and all those teams, West Coast teams that are going to throw the ball over the lot. And it's cool when you have it in a national championship game where you're like, okay, so you have this team that was the best at this, and then this team was the best at this. Let's see them butt heads. Like I feel like during the regular season, it's just kind of going to do a little bit too much, and you're making kids travel cross country while they have school and things like that. I just don't think it's as great. I'm just saying, like they have other things to do too. They're not professionals.
If they even really attend class, I mean.
Well, no, I mean, it's just a different kind of level of. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's my thoughts behind. Random stuff, but shout out to Nick Saban, one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest college coach.
For sure, I will say I am very interested in who they hire as their next coach, even though I don't watch college football anymore. Before Nick Saban was hired, they were kind of in this weird phase where they would either have someone who was pretty competitive or not competitive at all. Like they went through some down years and just some mid-tier years before Saban went there. And then obviously he dominated, especially throughout the 2010s. I did see a funny tweet today that said Nick Saban looked at the NIL and having to start black quarterbacks and said, "Get me the fuck out of here." I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I'm really interested.
As if he didn't have Bryce Young.
I mean, hey, I don't know.
Or Jalen Hurts and Tua. Pre-NIL.
I think his last quarterback was
Mac Jones. That was the last white one.
That's hilarious, but I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, he had black quarterback. But that's funny. That's really funny.
I mean, it was mostly white quarterbacks before, now that I think about it. But then, it was Jalen Hurts.
We have to think A.J. McCarron was one of the greatest Nick Saban quarterbacks of all time. Like it's because they never needed quarterbacks. It was, hey, we're gonna get Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, whomever to win the Heisman. We're gonna just have,
and then our defense won't allow 3 points.
I was gonna say we're gonna have 335-pound grown men on the line, and you're gonna have children, and we're gonna just all they have to do is throw for 180 and a touchdown. That's it. No more. Don't turn the ball over. We've won the game.
Screen passes.
Just
dump it off. 180.
Bama was and still to some degree is much like Kentucky, where like Kentucky in basketball, it's like if you don't know anything about the draft, just take the Kentucky guard or just take the Kentucky player. Like their players are always pro ready. And NFL,
especially defensively.
In NFL terms, just take the Alabama running back. Just take the Alabama wide receiver because they're always riddled with talent there. So.
Go to Florida State, go to DBU there. If you want to go to tight end, go to Iowa. Like, there's just some schools where you're like, okay, if you want a Bill Belichick player, go to Rutgers for some reason. Loved Rutgers.
Rutgers and Bama.
Loved himself some
Rutgers and Bama.
Loved himself some Rutgers. So, but man, okay. So looks like Kyle just checking in. We're not getting Brandon.
Looks like it
for these picks.
Looks like it,
man. I'm sorry to let everybody down. I know you guys are a guy who's been fun on the show. He got a pod with himself and Kyle. Obviously joined us for the R&B stuff, but whatever.
It was highly anticipated.
All right, so
and I was looking forward to hearing what he had for to say about the Jags. So
about T-Law.
He is under the weather, so we'll give him grace for that. But yeah, we were looking forward to it. But hey, there's always next week.
Yeah, those Florida boys aren't tough.
he didn't want to. He didn't want to do the MJ flu game.
Nah, he couldn't do it. All right, so how do you want to go about? You want to start with picks for Sunday?
I think that makes
Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I think that makes the most,
and then go into who we think after.
I think that makes the most sense. Is do our picks, go into the prolonged predictions, and then the bold predictions after that. If y'all got your 3,
okay. Always
cool.
Always.
Cool. Well, shit.
All right.
Let's start with Saturday afternoon. Browns at the Texans. I want to hear from you guys first. Who you got? Let me get the line. I want to say it's 2.5.
It's plus Texans plus 2.5. I got them right here.
It is 2.5. So Browns favored by 2.5. What y'all got?
Timmy, you start.
I'm gonna take the Browns right off. I'll just let you know. Taking the Browns. Simple. Their defense is great, and they're playing a rookie QB. If they can make it hell for him, it's game over, and they could win this game. Super low scoring. Plus, 2 things. Joe Flacco probably is going to be okay. He's probably not going to throw for 303 like he did against the Jets, but he's probably going to be fine. And he's never lost in the first round of the playoffs, so give me the Browns. Are we doing score predictions?
Yes, for the first round at least.
I'll take it 20-14.
Keenan, what you got?
So, I've actually got the upset in the Texans here. I was planning on going Browns all week until like about 2 hours ago. So that I don't know why you saw it.
I mean, you picked it.
Because what? I mean, I guess you saw it. I don't know how. I think that this Texans team actually has good balance to it. Devin Singletary has been playing well. With the Browns, you're going to have to control some of the line. The Browns defense doesn't travel as well. It's going to be rocking there. Then shout out to Houston. They're going to have fun, obviously. That defense is going to be ready. Joe Flacco is going to be ready, but he has been prone to turning the ball over, and giving C.J. Stroud extra possessions could be dangerous in this game. He does take very good care of the football. I've got this game looking around 26-23, Houston.
I actually had a lot of trouble with this game because the Browns did, and Flacco did, dominate the Texans just a few weeks ago. But Stroud did not play in that game. It will be in Houston, and the Browns defense doesn't travel as well. But it's the playoffs. It's a new season. They could definitely ramp it up to what they get at home for one day, right? And there's a ton of evidence that if you're a first-time starter in the playoffs, shit just does not go well. Not only do you lose, but you lose badly. But like Keenan said, Stroud's just a little more mature. They do have weapons on offense, but they're pretty depleted. But I'm going to cut to the chase here. I got the Browns 24-18. I do think it's lower scoring. I do think they pull it out. I just think they have the better team overall. And I think if Stroud had his full arsenal of weapons, maybe I'd be more inclined to pick the Texans, because at some point this Flacco train does have to fall. At some point, you would think, but he still is balling out. I mean, he does have his interceptions, but I'm going to roll with the Browns in this one.
Alrighty. Second Saturday night game. We've got Miami heading to Kansas City. It's going to be one of the coldest football games ever there, and older in general. Kansas City's favored by 4.5. Timmy, you go.
Real quick, not a basketball fan, but shout out to the Thunder. They just beat the Blazers by 62 points.
Hey.
So that's fun.
It's true.
That is fun.
This game, I think it's a coin flip. It's definitely a one-score game in my mind. They said that with the wind chill, it could get all the way up to -30 or all the way down to -30. And the Dolphins are 0-10 when playing below 10 degrees, like all time or something like that. It's also a Kansas City home game. I don't love the Chiefs this year, but I think I'm going to take them here. I got them. Patrick Mahomes probably get things done, but I don't know how far Kansas City goes because they just haven't looked up to snuff. And another reason is just Mike McDaniels has a year of playoff experience, but Tua does not. He did not play last year in the playoffs. So factoring that in, I'll take Kansas City. Give me 24-16.
This, Kyle, did you want to go next? Or you want me to?
Either or. I'll actually. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
Ahead. You got it. You got it.
Okay. So this Chiefs team is built for this game, which is weird to say. I mean, they're specifically built for this game. Isaiah Pacheco runs as if he's about 215 degrees hot. So, I mean, maybe the cold will warm him down, cool him down a little bit, but he's still going to run with his hair on fire. This offensive line gets pushed. Defensively, they're ready to stop teams. They're physical, which is weird to say about a Chiefs team, and Mahomes obviously can do enough. I don't think the Dolphins are fit for this game because they are a finesse running team. They aren't going to go run it down your throats. With Mostert coming back, that could work for them. In HN, it's going to be a low-scoring game, but I got the Chiefs 23-20 in this one.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I'd say since probably like week 10, week 11, week 12, I was ready to pick against the Chiefs in the first round had they been a first-round opponent, which they are. And had they gotten the Bills this weekend, I definitely would have picked against, or if they would have got another team. But they got the Dolphins of Miami coming to possibly negative 30-degree conditions with wind chill, which, by the way, why are you even playing football at that point? I feel like that's grounds to at least like postpone the game. Because negative 30 is insane. We've all experienced that. That shit is
just move to Indy or something. Like, I don't know, go somewhere close. Like, I don't know, just find a dome close and just play
like
there.
That's nuts. I got it 20-13 KC. Like Keenan said, KC's built for it. They got Pacheco. I do think I'm struggling because I do think Miami can run on him with Mostert and with HN. Like, especially if you saw them without Mostert last week, they were running the ball down the Chiefs' throat. And I think you can down the Bills' throat. I think you could do that to the Chiefs hypothetically. But when you add, again, these freezing temperatures, the Chiefs are used to that. Tua's not used to that. I mean, Tua at Alabama, you're never playing in cold weather. Tua in the NFL, 0-4 in 10-degree or less, something weather like that. It's not going to happen. Then you throw in it's his first playoff game. One thing I will say to point out was last year when the Dolphins went to Buffalo, it was a pretty freezing cold game, and they were in that game all the way, even with Skylar Thompson. And I believe they played the Bills in Buffalo a couple weeks before that, like week 16 or something. It was also a pretty cold game, and they were in it to the end. So maybe we're overrating the weather. I don't think we are because it's hella cold, and I don't think Tua is going to hold up well. I think the run game will hold up well, but I don't think their passing game will. Last thing I want to say, and this relates to Tyreek Hill as well as CMC. We had them in the MVP discussion a lot of the year. It's games like this where Tyreek can really assert that. And it's, the entire postseason for CMC and Tyreek if they can make it that far.
He owes them one.
Yeah, he owes them one. I don't have Tyreek in the Dolphins obviously winning this game, but hey, he could make a true impact in this game and help Tua out. Speed does kind of travel in his case. I don't think that's going to affect anything. So, but if Tua can at least deliver the ball to him, that would help. But I don't know if Tua will be able to do that. So, 2013 Chiefs.
I do think, isn't this Tyreek Hill's first game back in Kansas City?
I believe so.
It was supposed to be this year, but they moved it.
They went to Germany. So this is his first game back home. I think if I'm McDaniel, I think they're going to get him the ball in unique ways. I think they're going to try to stretch it down the field. Like I could see Tua trying to throw a bomb early just to see how he can throw in the elements. And then if that doesn't work, I could see a bunch of screens flip like him out of the backfield and things just to get the ball in his hands early. The Dolphins absolutely have the means to win this game because I think it's a race to 21. And they can get to 21 because I don't think the Chiefs really can score. But the Chiefs can control the ball and Mahomes can do enough, which is why I have confidence in the Chiefs in this game. But I absolutely think there's a world where the Dolphins can win this game because they do run the ball so well. I just hope Big Daniels realizes that he can do that. But going to the most boring game of the weekend, in my opinion, which will probably be the most fun just because I said it. But Pittsburgh is heading to Buffalo. Buffalo is favored by 10. Timmy, how much do you have Buffalo winning by?
7. I think Buffalo will have quite an outstanding lead, maybe up to 20 points. The Steelers will fight back. Maybe they get it to within one score. That's how I'm going to predict it. But it's not going to be a close game by any means. So I'll give it 28-20. So I'll actually give it 8. There's still one score, but I think it'll realistically be like a 21-7 game most of the way.
This game has two things written all over it: a 30-point blowout or a Bills disgusting win. And I'm going to go with the Bills disgusting win. It's going to be like 26-21 in a game where they should never be in that position.
I originally had this game 31-17 Bills. No TJ Watt for the Steelers. Mason Rudolph's first start, much like Tua, much like CJ Stroud. And
Bills Mafia.
Like I said, yeah, in Buffalo, in a tough place to play. And I looked up the weather last night, and it said 40 degrees. And I'm like, oh, of course, like, game over. Like, it's not even cold, like, whatever. If it was cold and it was snowy, like, maybe the Steelers have a chance with their run game. Then I did find out it is going to be possibly like 50-mile-per-hour winds. So I still have the Bills winning, still have them winning by 2 scores, have them winning by 13, 23-10, but much lower scoring, given the fact that, it's hella windy. Himalayan food got me burping. Goddamn.
Alrighty, next we've got the Packers of Green Bay. Jordan Love heading to Jerry World. Dallas is favored by 7. Timmy, how do you call it?
I kind of feel the same way how Kyle felt in the Bills game. I think Dallas is probably going to win this game by double digits. They're going to get their hopes up is what's going to happen. Is all the Cowboys fans are going to be like, see, this is our year. Then round 2 is going to be a little bit more difficult. So I'll give it 27-14, double-digit win. I just think the Cowboys are better at pretty much every single position, so can't really bet against them.
The Cowboys absolutely should win this game, and I do think they will win this game. The one thing they can't do, though, is let the Packers get up early. They need to just put this game away early because the Packers are a team that don't know any better, and they have offensive talent. Matt LaFleur is a good coach. Jordan Love has been playing hot right now, and if you let him get into the game rolling, it could be a scary sight for them, especially in a field with no elements or anything like that. They got a lot of speed on that offense right now, but I do have Dallas winning this game 30-20.
I've also got Dallas. I got it 28-24. I believe there's a world. There's 2 outcomes I see, and both of them are Cowboys wins. I either think they blow Green Bay the fuck out, or I think it's like this, where it's a shootout. I got a little lower scoring, 28-24. That's nothing crazy, but I could see it even getting to 35-31, something like that. But I think in the end,
be right in line with Packers-Cowboys games of the past.
For sure. I think in the end, either way, the Cowboys defense is going to make plays. So whether it's a blowout, they're obviously making life hell for Jordan Love. And if it's close, I think they make a play to seal it for them. But I don't see the Cowboys winning at all. They don't have a defense. I don't see the Packers winning. They don't have a defense to speak of. I think they just lost Jair Alexander, too. I think he just twisted his ankle, so he might be out for Sunday's game. So, yeah, it just looks rough for him. But it could be a very entertaining game either way, whether it's a blowout or whether it's a close game. I think it's going to be entertaining and kind of chaotic.
Okay. And then the most interesting game of the weekend to me, probably in the Browns Texans game. You've got the Rams. Matthew Stafford's coming home to Detroit. Detroit is favored by 3. Timmy, what do you call it here?
This is definitely my most anticipated game of the weekend. This is the one that I'm 100% making sure I tune into. Definitely going to watch all of them, but I'm going to be glued to the TV on this one. I think it's going to be a great game. Matthew Stafford coming home to Detroit, and he's going to end their playoff hopes here. I'm taking the Rams. Give me 31-27, LA.
Can I piggyback off of that, Keenan?
Absolutely.
I have the same exact score, same exact outcome. Rams 31-27. Much like I had Keenan in my mind ready to pick the Texans, Tim, I had you ready to pick the Lions. Like I was like, Tim's definitely going with the Lions here. He's been a Lions supporter all year, so I'm shocked that you picked the Rams. But no, same exact score. I see it the same exact way. I think whether it's Goff throwing a pick to end it or if it's Stafford leading them down on the final drive to make it 31, I definitely see a shootout. I see Goff having a little bit of trouble just because McVay knows him so well, and that can definitely play in your favor. We've seen that time and time again. I just feel terrible for Lions fans. They probably won't have Laporta in this game because he hyperextended his knee. And you can make a big case that even if he's just playing in this game, like that could swing it the Lions' way. I mean, he's such a force. So, I mean, it just seems like Lions fans can't have anything nice. They very well could win this game, but obviously I do not have them winning this game. So sorry for Lions fans and their injuries and their just unluckiness, and then having to go against Stafford, of course. Like I just think this is not a favorable matchup for them.
This is like the upset of the week for a lot of people. This is a lot of people's picks for it. It's not mine. I have Detroit 28-26. I think they'll be able to control the ball on the ground. Between Gibbs and David Montgomery, I think it has probably going to be the most fun game of the weekend. High scoring, a lot of yards, a lot of scoring, a lot of touchdowns. You've got so much offensive talent on both sides of the football, and then you've got playmakers on defense, a couple here, a couple there on both teams. So it's going to be fun, but I do think the Detroit run game will get it done, and Dan Campbell's going to go for a 4th down, and it's going to make or break. I think it's going to make. You guys probably feel like it would break in that scenario, but I do feel like there's going to be like one pivotal 4th down that happens.
Be like 4th and 36, and he could easily punt it and get the ball back, and he'll still go for it.
They're gonna run a fake punt on 4th and 36.
It's gonna be like a 4th quarter down 3, 4th and 6 from their own 35, something like that. One where you're like you're down 3, just punt it, like it's fine, and they're gonna go for it and they're gonna get.
Quick story that both of you will appreciate. I pulled 4th and 36 out of my ass there, but I've witnessed at North Country once upon a time.
Hey.
It was a 4th and 33 or a 4th and 36. It was something like that. It was 4th and extremely long, and they ran a halfback dive for 2 yards and got stopped in their own territory. Could have just punted, but yeah, witnessed that. That was the dumbest football moment I've ever seen anywhere, probably.
Shout out to North Country for winning D2. Timmy, we played D1, right? When we were there, we played.
So we played out of conference games. You have to play 2 no matter what. So we would play like St. Johnsbury, who was D1, but we were D2 the whole year.
We were D2 because then we moved from like a certain like down afterwards. Like when we left.
I think they did for basketball.
After
I know they moved. They went.
What's that?
I know basketball. They went from like just actual D1 to like the Mountain View, whatever it was.
Yeah, I have no idea about basketball. But after my senior year of high school, they didn't technically move out of D2. So they're still D2. They just expanded D2. So there's like 8 more teams in it. And a lot of those teams are Division 3 teams. So it kind of makes it like
more even. See, I always wish that we could have played those teams. I feel like we would have done fine. I feel like we would have probably killed.
I think so. I kind of think that's like a stigma or something because me and Camden talk about it all the time. We feel the exact same way. Hey, you give me their schedule, we would have won 10 games. But hindsight's 2020. Like we probably should have won 8 games when we were playing. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, hand, foot, and mouth ruined our season.
Yeah, every single year we had it like 4 years in a row.
We were rolling. Hand, foot, and mouth ruined our season. We were rolling. But yeah. Anyways, let's not talk about the North Country Falcons. Let's talk about the other bird that's may go down this weekend. Philly's heading to Tampa. Tampa is +3. Yep. Thanks. Philly's actually favored by 3 in this game.
That's interesting.
Defending NFC champions. Timmy, what say you about this game?
I think every year, I mean, I feel like it's more of like a divisional round thing, but every year we see a really low scoring game and it kind of like confuses you. You're like, I didn't expect that to be a low scoring game. Like when the Packers played the 49ers a couple years ago, it was like 14-9 or something. Yeah. It was like nobody was predicting that. Everybody was hammering the over in those games and they were setting it at 52 points and you were still taking the over. Nobody was, flinching.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the low scoring game. And I guess the upset because they're the 4 seed taking on the 5 seed, but they're not favored. I'm taking Tampa Bay. It's going to be low scoring. I'm going to say 14-13.
Oh. That's ugly.
Kyle, did you want to go? Or you want me to?
You can go.
I've got Tampa in this game as well. I don't think Philly is good defensively. I think Tampa's a better defensive team, and offensively, I think Tampa's playing just as well as the Eagles are offensively. I think obviously the Eagles have higher peaks, but I haven't seen them reach those peaks in a month since like Halloween. So I've got Tampa in this game, 21-17.
I should pick Tampa in this game. I'm picking the Eagles. All signs point to Tampa. I think it's insane that Philly's favored by 3. I think you can make it a pick 'em if you want to make it Philly by 1 or 1.5 or even half a point. Fine. Or Philly even underdog by 1.5. I'm fine with that too. But 3 points is a little insane. I do think they have more talent. Honestly, if Baker Mayfield was fully healthy, I'd probably pick the Bucs outright. I had the Eagles in the Super Bowl, so this is a bit of a going down with the ship kind of pick. But it's also the way my bracket falls. It's either Cowboys Bucks next week or Cowboys Eagles. I'd much rather see Cowboys Eagles. I think if they got the Bucks, they would win by 45, maybe 75 points next week. Spoiler alert, if that happens. That's my pick next week. If it ends up being Bucks Cowboys in a rout, I will have. So I'm hoping for the Eagles. I think that'd be a little bit of a better game given the divisional opponent. I have it 24-22. Just want to add to, I just heard this today, and I think Keenan even mentioned it a little earlier. People are talking about Sirianni coaching for his job, which I think is a bit insane. If that's the case, let's say that's true and they fire Sirianni, and that's where fucking Belichick goes. If Belichick goes to the Eagles, you could talk me into like 15-1 with this goddamn team, or I guess now it'd be 16-1, right?
Yeah.
Get this team just some defensive talent. They have everything you need on offense. And that's his kind of team, a ball control, controlling the clock kind of team. They would – I already thought it was tough to beat Philly when they're at their full potential. Obviously not now. But if you got Belichick in there with some defensive talent, good night. That's all I can say is good night. That would be scary for the league.
Yeah, it's going to be – that is something that could happen too. Like – if it does happen, that's going to be scary. But
I doubt it. I think that's crazy.
I mean, there's been I don't think it would happen, but I mean, there's been crazier firings. Like a first round exit after going to the Super Bowl, and Philly kind of has done this with coaches kind of a little bit in the past too, where they're like quick to fire them, and it'd be different again, as you said with Mike McCarthy, in a regular year. You wouldn't fully do that, but this is Bill Belichick. This isn't just any coach. So, if you think you can hit the pinnacle and get a Super Bowl out of it because of that one change, sure, do it. So, it's not a typical year, so not traditional moves might be made.
Where I'd say it's a little different is I think Sirianni's an above-average coach, and I think this is only, his 3rd, 4th season. And Peterson, on that end, on them firing Doug Peterson early, at the time I disagree with it, but now looking how he does with Jacksonville, I do think he's kind of ass or just maybe average. But so maybe they were right there, or they look to be right there, I should say.
Okay, so we've got so now we're going on for our farther picks. I'm just going to read off what everyone's divisional round will be, and you guys can go from there. So Timmy has Cleveland going to Baltimore and Kansas City going to Buffalo.
We have
in the AFC. In the NFC, he has the. What?
I was going to say we have the same bracket, Tim and I.
I was about to say, and that's the same for Kyle. Cleveland going to Baltimore, KC going to Buffalo. And then in the NFC, Timmy has the Rams going to San Francisco, has Tampa going to Dallas. Kyle has the Rams going to San Francisco and Philly going to Dallas. And then me, I have Houston going to Baltimore. I have Kansas City going to Buffalo. We're all in line there. And then I have Tampa Bay going to San Francisco and Detroit going to Dallas. Because I have Detroit winning that game. So Tampa's going to San Francisco and Detroit is going to Dallas. So who's going to the NFC Championship game, Timmy, or an NFC and AFC Championship game, Timmy?
Do we want to start with just one game? So like Buffalo, Kansas City, or do you want me to just give you the championship?
Just go AFC. So go AFC. So go like both games, and then we'll all go AFC, and then we'll go NFC. So give us who you think's going to win Buffalo, Kansas City, and then who you think's going to win Baltimore versus Cleveland.
Okay. Taking Buffalo versus Kansas City. Similar repeat to the season earlier, how we saw it, but it won't be because of an offsides call that they're calling this a Buffalo win. Do you want to score?
No, don't worry about a score right now.
Okay. And I'm taking Cleveland over Baltimore. I think Baltimore is going to be a little rusty. They haven't played their starters it'll be 3 weeks that they haven't come together and played a full game of football. So give me Cleveland. They're going to get hot. It's going to be a defensive game, but Joe Flacco is going to uproot his former team.
Okay.
So I got Buffalo in Cleveland.
Buffalo and Cleveland. And Kyle, how about you? What's your AFC?
I am interested just in case the Texans win. What is your score of this Baltimore Cleveland game?
Give me 26-24.
Okay.
It'll be close, but yeah, it'll be a good game, but a little bit of rust. Maybe Cleveland gets out to a lead early, and they're able to just hold on to it.
Well, I too have the Bills. I won't give the score, but I'll say double digits over the Chiefs. So I got the Bills handedly over the Chiefs. And I have Baltimore over the Browns. So I'm different from you there. I do have a knockdown, drag-out game. Save the score in case we do get these matchups. But I got it close there, and I got Bills easily over the Chiefs. I'll say that. And I have a bowl. I won't spoil it. Go ahead, Keenan.
Okay. And my AFC, I do have the Ravens over the Texans, and I have the Bills over the Chiefs. I think the Ravens are going to pretty much handle the Texans. I just think that they match up perfectly defensively. And then offensively, I think Lamar is going to play much better than he did against them the first time around. And then Buffalo, Kansas City, I think it's going to be an electric half. And the second half is probably not going to be as electric. I think Buffalo is just going to show why they're a better team this year. And that's fine. You don't go to the Super Bowl every single year. It happens. So Chiefs fans, it's okay. You can play next year. You'll be fine. But yeah, so NFC. Timmy, who you have representing and who are your NFC championship? Who are the people in your NFC championship game? Sorry.
So I'm going to go with Dallas over Tampa Bay. I do believe this game will probably be a rout. So probably double-digit win there. And I'm taking LA over San Francisco. I think if any team can knock off San Francisco this year, it's going to be LA. It's going to be a divisional opponent that, they've beat them before in the playoffs. It comes down to big plays. It's McVay versus Shanahan. I like it. The Rams are hot. They're going to take it too.
I like it.
All right, Kyle, how about you?
So I got Cowboys and Eagles. and I got Rams and Niners, both divisional games. So I have both close games here. I completely agree with Tim, by the way. I think the Rams are the toughest matchup in either conference for the 49ers.
I disagree with either conference, but I do think they're the toughest in the.
Who do you think's there? So you'd have the Ravens, obviously, because
I think the
they
Ravens
blew them out. I feel that, but I do think there's a divisional thing there, and I do think McVay.
I also think the Bills would have a better chance
than the Rams. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I have the Niners winning that game, so I got them in the NFC Championship game, and I would have the Cowboys winning over the Eagles, but I do have that one close, surprisingly, given how the Eagles have played. So Cowboys, Niners, Blue Bloods, 90s rivalry, 80s rivalry, 70s rivalry. I think it's 80s and 90s, but
I think it's 80s and 90s.
Rivalries regardless. Back in the NFC Championship game. Dallas rejoice.
Okay. And in the NFC, I have the 49ers demolishing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's not a game. I got them demolishing. And I've got Detroit righting the wrong that they should have had before, and they're going to beat Dallas in Dallas. Wow. So I've got Detroit and San Fran in the NFC.
And then Belichick hiring right after that.
And that was all. So that's kind of why I said it too. I think if you lose to Detroit at home in the divisional round, you absolutely can fire Mike McCarthy with Belichick on the line. I didn't want to say it then, obviously, because I didn't want to give it away. But I think that job will come open by February 10th. And by February 17th, we might be able to see Bill Belichick there.
What if it's like a 50-50 game and they win on like a 58-yard field goal? And it's nothing McCarthy or the defense can do.
Still, I don't think it would matter. I really don't. I think with Jerry and Dallas, it's results oriented. I could see him getting fired. I really could. Just because, and with Bill being there, I could see it. If you had only Mike Vrabel, then I don't see why you would do it. But when you have that guy, I think you can convince yourself to be like, I think we need that guy.
All right. So we got Cowboys,
Alrighty.
Cowboys, Rams for Tim, Cowboys, Niners for me, Lions, Niners for Keenan. All right.
Yep. And then in the AFC, Kyle and I both have Baltimore and Buffalo, and Timmy has Cleveland and Buffalo. So, Timmy, who is going to the Super Bowl in the AFC? And then we'll all go AFC, and then we'll all go NFC.
I'm taking Buffalo, put them in the Super Bowl, really turn the season around, and it's just going to be cherry on top to at least just get to the Super Bowl. Keenan asked last week if they didn't make the playoffs, is this season a failure? No, this season's not a failure because they're going to the bowl. They're at least going to play for it.
Yep. Alrighty. And Kyle, do you have Baltimore or do you have Buffalo?
I have a tie. No, I mean, that's impossible. But look, it's been a storybook season for Lamar, second MVP, right? I'm rooting for Lamar this entire playoffs. I really am. Like, I like, it feels like the year. It feels like a special year. Like, there's just some years where it feels like destiny, and it feels that way for Baltimore. But I got the Bills of Buffalo in the Super Bowl. I got it. I can't explain it. Everything says point to both number ones going to the Super Bowl. Like, if there was ever a year, granted it happened last year, but if there was ever a year, it's this year. Like, no two teams have looked better than those two teams. Excuse me. The Ravens and the Niners. But, man, look at Josh Allen's playoff stats. Look at Lamar's playoff stats. And I think Lamar's going to right some of his wrongs this year. Obviously got him losing to the Bills, but I think he's going to play better in the divisional round and probably play toe-to-toe with Josh Allen in the championship game. Just don't have them making it. Josh Allen's lights out. None of us have Mahomes making it. I really see maybe like a 15% chance that actually happens, that they get to the AFC Championship game. I think a lot of stuff would have to happen, but I really think this is like, I mean, I've been saying it for like since Burrow got injured. With both of them out the way, it's really on a platter for both Josh Allen and Lamar. And I just think the Bills have the momentum. They've been playing playoff games for like 6 weeks now. I think it's on the table for them. I'm rooting for Lamar, though. I want that to happen. God damn, I keep fucking burping. But I got the Bills. And I wouldn't hate to see the Bills there either. They're like the lovable loser, even if they are in division for us, Pats fans. But wouldn't mind seeing Buffalo there. But I'm definitely strongly rooting for Lamar. I don't know.
I would have bet my entire house that you were putting Buffalo, and I told Timmy this prior. I would have bet the house. I'm not even kidding. I told Timmy I would have been shocked if you didn't have Buffalo.
I'll say this.
I have Baltimore in over Buffalo. I think it might not end up being close. I think not that it's going to be a blowout, but I just think that they'll win pretty handily towards the end. I just think Baltimore is a better team than Buffalo, but go on.
You know what? I'll save it for the next round action.
Okay. But so you both have Buffalo and I have Baltimore.
Expand on your blowout though, because I think those are two evenly matched teams. But Baltimore hasn't got Buffalo yet, so I think I think Josh Allen would pose some problems for that Baltimore defense.
I think Josh Allen would have to be the type of quarterback to pose problems. I think that more stationary quarterbacks are definitely Baltimore. I don't think it's going to be particularly. I think it won't be a blowout per se. So I was more so meant like it's going to be towards the end. The Baltimore will pull away. I could see it being like a 10 to 12 point game. I just think that Josh Allen's prone to making more mistakes than Lamar, and Lamar's playing at a higher level than Josh is right now. I could see 2 Josh Allen picks in that game. I think that defense is they disguise themselves very well. They're very well coached. They have a lot of playmakers on that defense, and getting pressure on Josh Allen, give him a few extra possessions, giving Lamar extra possessions this year seems to be deadly for him. So that would be where I go in that aspect. Could it be close? Absolutely. Could the Bills win? Absolutely. It's obviously on the board that the Bills win. I wouldn't blow me away if the Bills won, but I personally think that it'd be the Ravens by 10, like a 31-21 kind of
I could see why you see me leaning towards the Bills, because I've been on the Bills bandwagon probably since that Dolphins game early on in the season where they blew them out, it just impressed me. I was like, that's an impressive win. Much like the Ravens over the Niners impressed me. Like there's some wins, and even the Ravens over the Lions early on. Like there's some wins that are wins, then there's impressive wins. So I was kind of on Buffalo since then. And then their season kind of fell off the wagon a little bit. But bet your house, that's crazy.
I told Timmy before this that I absolutely would have I would have been shocked if you didn't have Buffalo. I would be shocked if you didn't have the Super Bowl that I think you're gonna have. So anyways, let's move on to the NFC. Speaking about the Super Bowl that he's gonna have, Timmy, who do you have representing you in the Super Bowl?
Just want to say congratulations to Dallas. This is my prediction here, at least. This will be your first conference championship game in 28 years. You made it. Unfortunately, you lose to the Los Angeles Rams. Yep. We talked about it before. Keenan said he could predict exactly where he thought I was going with it. This is what I got. The Rams will beat Dallas and go back to the Super Bowl. I got Los Angeles versus Buffalo.
So I had this, and then I wasn't sure if he was going Cleveland or Buffalo. I was absolutely 100% confident in the Rams, and then I was like, I'm circling Buffalo. He's going with Buffalo over Cleveland. He's not gonna. He likes 100%. Joe Flacco. He likes Joe Flacco, but I don't think he can pick Joe Flacco to get to the Super Bowl over Josh Allen after going. That'd be going through Stroud, then Lamar, then Josh Allen. That is a tough road. So that would be. You talk about his all-time great run before, this would be right there. But yeah, okay. So you've got I almost said the Bears, the Buffalo Bills versus the Los Angeles Rams in the Super Bowl. The Rams, who were I think 3-6 at one point, dead in the water, and the Bills, who were 6-6, looked dead in the water in the Super Bowl. Crazy runs. Kyle, how about you? Who is your NFC representative?
Having the Bills in the Super Bowl, Keenan, I really, this is the second thing I'm rooting for, Keenan. If Lamar doesn't get in, the second thing I'm rooting for is the Bills versus the Cowboys, because, who's got worse luck than those two teams? Other than, of course, Detroit and Cleveland. Yeah. But for your, mainstream teams, which the Bills are now, I mean, they've always been a blue blood, but they'd been out of the mix for, a good 25 years, really up until Brady left, right? but recently they're a blue blood team or a mainstream team, I should say. So I'm kind of rooting for that if Lamar doesn't get in. But I got the Niners winning. Got the Niners beating the Cowboys. I got a Niners-Bills Super Bowl. What I was going to say prior, Keenan, was leading into the week I was going to Tennessee to visit you. I had my mind made up. I was like, Bills-Niners. That's going to be my Super Bowl. Like, I see it. I envision it. Like, that's what it's going to be. Niners got blown out by the Ravens on Christmas Day. Started to waver as the season went. Obviously, they got that terrific win the next weekend, the Ravens did. And I'm like, damn, like, it looks to be number one versus number one. Like, it looks like it's going to be Niners, Ravens again. And when I posed to you guys that question last podcast about, like, are the Packers going to lose on similar situations back-to-back years, or are we going to get two number ones on back-to-back years? It just doesn't happen where you get two number ones. So I had to pick one to lose. I could see the Ravens losing for the Niners just because the Niners are just loaded with talent. Not that the Ravens aren't. And then what sealed it for me again was Josh Allen's playoff stats. He's got insane stats in the playoffs. So it's
a lot of, I was going to say, not fault to him, but a lot of that is from his run 2 years ago.
Sure. I mean,
I was going to say not a fault to him. I was just saying because he had the 7 drive, 7 touchdown games against the Patriots, and then he played like a perfect game against Mahomes and just lost. Like he had like 8 touchdowns and no picks in that run. Phenomenal.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong.
Absolutely. And that tends to travel. Not saying that he won't have bad games, but if you're a playoff performer, usually that continues to trend that way. So that really gave me the edge over Lamar. But again, I'm rooting for Lamar, low-key rooting for a Cowboys-Bills Super Bowl. But I do think the most likely option is that the Niners get one of the two, whether it's the Bills or the Ravens. I don't think there's any world that the Ravens don't get to the AFC Championship game, unless, like Tim says, the Browns, like they'd be the ones to do it. And you'd still have to favor Lamar.
It's really
over
weird.
Flacco. And really just because
that's weird. I think
really because it's a divisional game.
No, I'm just I'm saying like I was about to say it's weird that like we feel obviously you guys have the Bills over the Ravens, but we feel like the reasons why that the number one seeds won't get to the championship game in each respective conference is their division rival that at one point we thought were never going to be even part of the picture. Like the Browns at some point, like 6 weeks ago before they got Flacco, I've been like, okay, they're interesting, I guess, because they can play defense, but they're not like that scary. But now it's like, okay, it's on the table. Like they easily could beat the Texans, and they not easily could beat the Ravens, but they could beat the Ravens for sure. And then with the Rams, they could go to Detroit and win, and they definitely could go to the San Fran and win. Like that's on the table there for sure too. So it's just interesting that those two teams we think pose probably the biggest threat other than Buffalo and the AFC for you guys. But yeah. And then NFC wise, as much as I want to pick Detroit, I literally can't. I just can't do it. They don't have the defense for it. If they had 2 more defensive pieces, I would be able to do it. But it's San Fran. I do think it's going to be a rematch of the game that we saw a few weeks back. I know I'm a boring guy. That's okay. I just think that's what's going to happen. So I have, hopefully the lights don't go out of my Super Bowl. But I got a rematch of that Super Bowl. That was a really good game too. I think it was 34-31 Ravens. So that was a really fun game. I hope that it's lights out.
Ravens staged a comeback after the power went out. Like before that, the Niners were up
I was gonna say
like 17-3 or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's hope that Beyonce doesn't shut it down at the Super Bowl, even though Usher this year, but that's fine. All right. So Kyle has got the Buffalo Bills against the 49ers. Timmy has got the Buffalo Bills versus the Rams. I have got the Ravens versus the 49ers. So none of us have the same Super Bowl, which is kind of cool. Timmy, who is your Super Bowl champion?
The Buffalo Bills.
Damn.
Just want to let everyone...
Exercising the demons.
Okay. Just want to let everyone know that I had his Super Bowl predicted prior to this. I'm just making sure. And let's see if
I definitely dropped a lot of hints
you dropped a few
about
hints.
which teams. Yeah.
And then let's see if I have Kyle's, because I did tell Timmy what I thought Kyle's was going to be before. But Josh Allen gets his first Super Bowl. If there was a year for him to do it, this would be the year that makes sense.
Josh Allen, the The Bills
Him
get
and
their
Lamar.
first Super Bowl.
I was gonna say Josh Allen gets his first. The Bills get there first. It'd be really fitting if they lost on like a 41-yard field goal miss by Tyler Bass, but that would be neither here nor there. So, yeah,
That would be wild.
That would literally break like life. But Kyle, what is your Super Bowl? Who's your Super Bowl winner?
I have a high score. First of all, actually, Tim, who's your MVP in that hypothetical Super Bowl?
It'll be Josh Allen, and I'll have a bold prediction for you.
Love it. I have obviously the Niners and the Bills. I have a fairly high scoring game. It'll be 31-25, and I will have who I believe has been the best team all year, and that's the 49ers winning. I think they'll finally get over the hump and win the big one. So Niners over the Bills, 31-25.
Alrighty, so I'm glad.
Shouts to the Bay.
I thought so for a second, Kyle. I was talking with Timmy before. I was like, he's gonna go with Josh Allen, and I was like, no, he thinks the 49ers is the best team in the league. He's not going with them. So I had you having the 49ers over the Buffalo Bills as you guys. Oh wait, sorry. Before you go on, Kyle, who's your MVP?
Debo Samuel.
Ooh, I very much could see that. I have the Ravens over the 49ers again. I think they're a better team. I think the Ravens are the best team in the league. I think that Lamar is going to be the best quarterback in the league, like in that 1-2, obviously with Mahomes, but he'll have the crown after the Super Bowl. MVP, Super Bowl champion, happened last year. It's going to happen again. Lamar is also my Super Bowl MVP, by the way. I think that is kind of up in the air. It was honestly either him or I was debating on Odell again. On him just showing up. There was a chance of Odell just showing out. That was what I was thinking too. Like one thing about Odell is he does love himself the big lights. So in fairness to Odell, I do think that would be kind of fun. But yeah.
Odell tears his other ACL.
Listen,
Super Bowl.
Listen. On his way to being another Super Bowl MVP, like he has like 4 catches, $110 in a tub, and then you're like, wait a second, what happened?
Start of quarter 2 comes and it's just
I will say,
things are bad when you
I will say,
but, okay. One thing I was sorry,
my fault. No, I was gonna say I thought Tim was gonna have Cleveland in the Super Bowl, like before recording. I thought Tim was gonna have them there, and maybe the Rams. I could have seen him going Rams, Cleveland, or the Lions as Super Bowl winners. Did not expect him to have the Bills winning it. Keenan, I would have had you pegged as Ravens, but I thought you would have had Ravens, Cowboys, not Ravens, Niners. So,
yeah. No, Ravens, Niners, I don't.
Wasn't the Ravens your preseason pick, or was it the Bengals?
Bengals over Steelers was my preseason pick. I had the Ravens in the AFC Championship game. No, Seahawks.
Oh, that's right, Seahawks.
Sorry. Bengals over Seahawks. I had the Ravens and Bengals in the AFC Championship game. I believe Timmy and I both did. We had them getting there, and then because 2 years ago my Super Bowl pick was the Ravens.
I think I had
last year was. I
think I had Eagles over Ravens. I could tell you. I had Eagles for sure. No, Eagles over Bengals.
You had the Eagles, Andrew. You had the Eagles, Bengals. You had the Eagles for sure.
Tim, who'd you had? You had the Seahawks and who?
Bengals.
The Bengals. I had the same pick as Keenan.
No, he had the same as me.
Yeah.
And so, Timmy, what are your bold predictions for the playoff run?
Josh Allen is going to accumulate, right? He's got to play 4 games. He's going to accumulate 350 plus rushing yards in this Super Bowl run.
Okay.
So that's one. I'll give Matthew Stafford 16 touchdowns. He's going to pop off for a couple games.
That's the
gotta go bold.
That might be the greatest run of all time.
And they're going to lose in the Super Bowl. It's going to be a high-flying game. He might have like 3 touchdowns, and they're going to lose.
So he's going to average like 4 a game, 4 touchdowns a game? All right.
Yeah, sure. He's going to have a 5-touchdown playoff game.
Sure. He said sure.
Right. 5 would make it a little easier. So
yeah, he gets a 5 versus San Francisco. That's going to be a high-scoring game, right? Do I need three? You want one
gotta give
more?
us one
Let me
more.
think.
Yeah.
You guys go, and I'll come
We'll
back
wait
with
for
one
you.
more.
All right, Keenan, go ahead.
No, I got it. I got
Okay,
it. I'm here.
Go.
Dallas versus LA. Dak Prescott 4 interceptions.
I like it.
My
meltdown.
favorite thing was to always say that Aaron Rodgers was going to see the Patriots in the Super Bowl and throw like 7 picks. I used to
Can you
say it to
imagine?
Joe all the time,
Can
and
you
I would literally, and this is just because people were saying that Aaron Rodgers was better than Tom Brady, and I was bitter at the time. I was like, Aaron Rodgers, another pick,
and another one.
6 of the game for Rodgers every time, and then I have no problem with Rodgers at all now. Obviously, he's great. So one of mine is in the AFC Championship game. Lamar Jackson's going to have a perfect passer rating. That is one bold
All-time
prediction
great.
there. I debated on literally an all-time great performance there. That's one. 2. Oh man, I have what I want. I just didn't have the exact player as of right now. But I'm gonna go with it. It's going to be Micah Parsons against the Cowboys. Against the Packers is going to have 6 sacks. He's having a 6-sack playoff game. And then my third one is Patrick Mahomes versus the Buffalo Bills is going to have like a 30, like probably like a 45 quarterback rating. He's going to play atrocious.
Any particular stats to go with that? By the
probably.
By the way, the Micah one's like right on brand with my regular season one. My 8-sack game, you got Micah getting a 6-sack.
Yeah.
I like it.
Something along the lines of like 16 of 31, 116 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks.
That's an atrocious game.
He plays a terrible game. They might get. It's going to be like one of those games where I think it could be 27-14 ish. I had it close because I said they're going to have close at the first half. It's going to be fun. And what I think is going to be fun is that Mahomes is going to be trying to throw over the lot. It's going to be some picks, but they're going to run the ball well. And then second half, Buffalo's just going to show why they're a better team. Those are my 3 bold predictions.
I'll go in chronological order here because they're all, one's divisional, one's championship weekend, one's Super Bowl weekend. Piggybacking right off of Keenan here. I actually have the Bills in that game by 10, which is weird, or 11 even. It's 10 or 11. It's close-ish, which is weird because I have Mahomes throwing not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 picks in the divisional game. So me and Keenan's got him playing an all-around bad game with 2 picks, no touchdowns. I got him playing. I mean, you just said like the Aaron Rodgers game. That's basically what I have him playing at Buffalo.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8 picks. But yeah, they're somehow going to be still kind of in that game, only losing 28-17. But yeah, 5 picks for Mahomes. That's what I got it as.
That means Josh is throwing like 3.
That's right. That's right. This generation's Brett Favre.
He's more than capable.
Next weekend, I also have the Cowboys losing to the Niners, and part of that reason will be because Brandon Aubrey will miss multiple field goals. Not sure if that's 2, not sure if it's 3, but it's multiple.
Let's see. He's only missed 2 this season, and one of them was blocked. He's really only missed 1 whole field goal this season, which is crazy.
In the last game of the season.
Yes,
for sure. And then my last bold prediction. I told you I had Deebo Samuel as MVP. He's going to win that in large part because he's going to go for the hat trick. Rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown, passing touchdown. MVP.
Ooh. Who's his passing touchdown to? Do you have anyone in mind?
We'll say Kittle.
I was going to say Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, right.
that would be a play though. Like no one would expect Kyle Juszczyk to kind of sneak out of the backfield and get one. That
could be
interesting enough. I was debating. I was close. I think he could get close to it, but I was thinking a Lamar like 150 plus rushing game. I was thinking of him trying to get into his Kaepernick bag.
I almost said Josh Allen, Super Bowl MVP, because he rushes for 150 yards. But I'll do the cumulative over the
Not bad.
playoffs.
Yeah.
So you got to. I can't wait. So wait, what's your score of the championship game then? Dallas and Niners, because you got Dak melting all the way down. So is it a Niners blowout, or do they kind of keep it close? Like I have Mahomes somehow keeping it close in a 5 interception game.
Are you talking to me or Keenan?
Tim.
Because I got Dallas and the Rams.
Oh, that's right. My fault. I just assume Niners because I have them. So yeah, Niners. Or sorry, Rams.
I was just have Detroit and San Fran, so none of us have that.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Myself up here.
Give me 31-14. He passes one. Tony Pollard gets one to start the game, something like that. And then it's just complete meltdown for 3 quarters. Gets a garbage time touchdown for nothing.
Dallas fans would be on suicide watch. Really, in either of these outcomes, they would be, but especially that.
Absolutely. So I've got a couple questions here, and then I don't know if you guys have anything else. If not, we can depart for the night. This has been really fun. So my question to you guys is, you can name 3 people, but which 3 people do you feel like would benefit most from a Super Bowl? Can be coaches, can be owner, can be players, can be whomever. 3 people who you feel benefit most from winning a Super Bowl this season.
Can I start?
Whoever can go first. Yeah, you can
the obvious is Dak Prescott. I mean, the answer is always going to be whoever the Cowboys quarterback is in this case.
Of course.
As far as coach, I would say Kyle Shanahan. He's been to the championship game a number of times. 4 times already in his short career. Been to the big game, came close to winning it, did not win it. Obviously, last year Purdy goes down; they don't even get a real chance at it. So I think it would be huge for him, especially since his pops is a 2-time Super Bowl winner, so he'd add that to the fam. Third person, let me think of that. I mean, if we're being literal, the Lions. I mean, just the Lions winning it, whether it's got like in any event,
or the Browns,
yeah.
Browns are right.
So I guess my third,
right in that conversation.
My third, I'll give that a team hyphen. Give me the Lions/Browns, because that's not fair. Because I mean, the Bills and the any one of those 4 teams: Cowboys, Lions, Browns, or Bills. You can't find 4 more cursed franchises than that. That's about as cursed of 4 franchises, other than the Vikings too. They've suffered some bad losses, Falcons too, but those 4 in particular, those have loyal fan bases, and Cowboys at least have had them. We act like the Cowboys haven't won since like the 60s. The 90s were at least somewhat recent. Still 30 plus years, whatever, 28 years, I think Tim said earlier. But I think those 4. But I'll take the Cowboys out because I already said Dak. So that kind of goes hand in hand. But I'll think of a third actual person. I'll let you guys go. And I'll think of a third actual person.
I'm going to go probably different than you guys because there's a lot of people who can benefit, but just to give a little bit of variety. Tim, you go.
Definitely, I would 100% agree with Dak.
Of course.
Is if Dak gets one, I think the narrative kind of changes on Dak.
Mm-hmm.
People probably don't think of him as that big turnover-prone, crumbling big moment kind of guy anymore. Because this whole season's kind of been a pretty good season for him, minus like 2 games, really. So Dak's up there. I think Lamar's up there. He promised the Baltimore fans a Super Bowl when they drafted him. So he's got an MVP. He's probably got a second one coming to him. It would be huge to win MVP and Super Bowl, and potentially Super Bowl MVP all in one season. That would be incredible. And then 3 doesn't mean the most, but I would love to see it. Joe Flacco. If he goes out, doesn't get a contract next year, but he actually just hangs up the cleats after this year, wins a Super Bowl, doesn't even need to win Super Bowl MVP. That would be a great story to see, off the couch to a Super Bowl. It would just be
Imagine a scenario where Joe Flacco wins it, and then there's a QB competition between him and Deshaun next year. I'd be like, what fucking world do I live in? Let me switch my.
That's the Browns. That's the Browns for you, though.
3-way competition between him, Deshaun, and DTR. I'm going to switch my third person to Lamar outside of the teams, because obviously it would serve Lamar, especially being a 2-time MVP. I think he would be the other obvious QB that would serve the most. So,
yeah. So I agree with you guys. I agree with that. Dak and Lamar would be, and him, those two and Josh Allen would be your three kind of most. I think Josh Allen, a Super Bowl for him puts him in a different level. Lamar, it puts him in a different level. You no longer can have any questions about him. And then obviously Dak, it solidifies him. So I think those three are like your top three. I want to give three other ones that I think are going to be very interesting. One, Matt Stafford, because I think it definitively make him a Hall of Famer. Like I think right now he's borderline where he has the statistics for it. He does have a Super Bowl, but I think another Super Bowl here, there's no way. I don't think you could keep him out of the Hall of Fame at this point. So I think Matt Stafford would be one that would be I'd be very good for. Two, if I'm gonna two would be Jalen Hurts. If somehow the Eagles were able to get hot, like they were able to get some of that pedigree out of them, to get back on, I think Jalen Hurts, that'd kind of erase everything that happened this season, and people would really look at Hurts like, okay, he's truly the franchise guy there. He's truly one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. So that is two. And then three is I think Mahomes would benefit from it, as from quarterbacks wise I'm going, and I think he would benefit because I think that he'd be able to say in the conversation, be him and Brady, that he had the greatest 5-year stretch ever. And like that helps him obviously because right now he's chasing like the top 5 of all time, like top 6 of all time quarterbacks, and winning more Super Bowls and being great is what's going to get you there. So winning them while you can would help out. And obviously I think Allen, Dak, and Lamar are more than like Mahomes, but just naming up a couple other people.
Your comments on Stafford also make me think, like, if Dallas were to win it, Mike McCarthy has a true Hall of Fame case after that.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that as well. And then just want to throw one more person out there just because for some reason I don't believe this could happen. It's more likely than saying Tampa. But if CJ Stroud were to be able to win a Super Bowl this year, that would be literally insane. It would be actually like life would be insane. Like I don't think they could manage to pull off Browns defense, a Ravens defense, a Chiefs or Bills defense, and then a San Francisco 49ers or Dallas Cowboys most likely defense to a Super Bowl with this decimated team. But if they did, CJ might be the best quarterback in the league. And I'm not even joking. If he can do that in 1 year with this Texans team, he might be the best quarterback in the league after year one. And I'm not sure we've ever said that. But yeah, so I'm done going with hypotheticals. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting.
Okay, word.
Any more questions? Or are you guys?
I do want to revisit your QB list because it's gotten a lot of stir on the internet. I will say, I surprised myself looking back at this clip because you got Lamar number 1, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not mad at that list in general because I think Lamar's been better than Mahomes this year. Correct me if I'm wrong though. You said it does go on past playoff performance, and I think you'd have to have
it's a mix
like
between
and Allen
resume and
especially Mahomes.
It goes on resume plus this year. I do have more resume than this year. I would be fine if someone had Mahomes over Lamar, but I also do think that how you're playing now matters too. Like how I had it was like probably 80-20, like resume does matter, and your resume regular and postseason matters. Lamar has had not the greatest of moments. They came out lax against the Tennessee Titans. They beat, I believe, the Bills, and then they lost to, I can't remember the other team they lost to. I don't think it was the Chiefs. I don't remember. I don't think they played the Chiefs in the playoffs. It could have been. I don't remember who else they lost to in the playoffs. I'm going to check right now. But Lamar hasn't.
They lost last year. They lost to the Bengals, but Lamar didn't play.
No, I was going to say, I'm thinking Lamar's postseason. He lost, like, the Chargers won. Now he was young. He lost to the Chargers. He had 2 touchdowns and 1 pick against them. Then the year his unanimous MVP, he lost to the Titans. He had 1 touchdown to 2 picks. Then he beat the Titans, lost to the Bills. So he's one. I would say right now he is 1-3 in the playoffs. It hasn't looked great for him though so far. So I get if someone was going to have Mahomes over him, or even Josh Allen over him. But I do think with how he's playing right now and how bad Mahomes is playing right now, I think that does weigh a little bit more into where I do have, and yeah, I think that going forward, Lamar, with what he's shown this year and how he's progressed, that he would be in there. But again, if you were to have Mahomes or Allen ahead, I'm not going to argue. That's just where I have it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the first game Lamar played against the Chargers, he came in after halftime, and the game was like over. I'm pretty sure they were still rolling with Flacco that year.
No, that was the year he came in mid-season. Like, he came in after week 3. He played that whole game.
Okay.
So he came in. He came in because he came in. I want to say week 3 or 4 because I believe he went 9-3 that year, but they were not that good. Like, he was not that good at all. He was just kind of a guy who could run. But yeah, he came in midseason. He had 6 touchdowns to 3 picks that year, but he could run well. Like, he was just a running back. He averaged like 16 carries a game. They basically, and that's why he couldn't do anything against the Chargers, because they got after him all day and he couldn't throw. And so if you watch that playoff game and then you go watch the Dolphins game he just played, like the last game he played, it's not even the same guy. Which is why I kind of have him at number 1 right now. But I do. Fair question, Kyle. But people were, and I do, like, in YouTube comments, TikTok comments, on Instagram, people were not happy. But some of them were.
I definitely can share the blame for that. I definitely be arguing in the TikTok comments. I
saw that.
So there was one where you made a list, and it was Kyle's take saying that we can't hold Mahomes as like the number 1 quarterback anymore. And somebody commented saying like, nobody's saying Mahomes is the number 1 QB in the league right now. And I'm like, so many people, I could tell you every GM is probably going to take Mahomes 101 if they had the opportunity ahead of every other quarterback in the league right now. And I was definitely just comment after comment going back and forth with this dude. And then, yeah.
No, I absolutely saw that. I respect the grind. I respect that for sure. Absolutely. But like, I see people like Dak's stats are better than Lamar. Someone said this list is fire. One made me laugh and said, it's not that bad. Don't let other comments get to your head, and with a heart emoji. And I was like, okay. And then
did a family member leave that? Did Danny leave that?
No, it was by shout out to Toadsworth JR. And then one guy said, never rank QBs ever again. That was the first comment I read, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it, so it doesn't matter to me. But no, absolutely. I love it though. I love when people comment. Like, same way you were getting flack about the whole Mahomes thing. Like, people were legitimately, people were like, well, what do you mean? I love it.
There was two videos you posted, and it was you picked an upset, I don't remember, but Kyle picked the Cardinals to beat the Eagles.
Yeah.
Somebody commented on Keenan's video and said, shit take, and then they commented on Kyle's video and they said, good take, because they were both correct. Like Keenan's pick was wrong, but Kyle's was right.
Yeah.
So it's like, I guess thanks for the comment, but like, nice. Hindsight 2020.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't like at the time. It was like right. It was after, and I was like, that's okay, funny. Well, that makes 100. That makes funny. So much sense. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, Keenan. I mean, Keenan's list do bring up some stir. I mean, when you did your top 32 NBA players, me and Camden were pretty up in arms about some of those. Sure,
I love it.
But yeah, no, list any list of any form. Or any ranking of any form, whether it's a pyramid, whether it's a ranking, whatever it is, it's going to bring opinions of anybody and everybody. So, yeah, you can't go wrong with a list as far as if you're going to get pushback or not. I don't think there's ever been a list ever made where people were like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? So
I know. And I mean, go on, Timmy.
I've seen lists on Instagram from ESPN and like actual accredited pages with millions of followers that are saying the Chiefs are the number 3 team in the NFL right now to win the Super Bowl. And I just don't get it. It's like they forgot this year happened. They just see Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, and they're like, yeah, they're gonna win it again. It's like I don't think I would have them top 6
Ooh,
right now.
that's
So.
a hot take. That's a hot take.
There's a lot of better teams. Like, start listing them out. I would like. Obviously, I'm high on LA, Buffalo, Baltimore, San Francisco. I would take Dallas over them, and then I'm probably gonna take like
Cleveland?
even the fact that I would take Cleveland. The fact that Miami is a coin flip says enough right there because Miami's definitely not a top 16 right now.
That's true. I mean, you do raise a good point. Man, 6? It would be hard for me to keep them out of the top 6, but at the same time, yeah, if this game were in Miami or if it was just regular weather this weekend, I'd probably pick the Dolphins or be inclined to at least.
All right, so actually, this brings up something great, and I love it. So I'm going to go through all teams right now. I want to see who you're taking over the Chiefs neutral field. All right, I'm going to start from the bottom to the top. Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could.
I'm
not literally not, but
no.
I could see a world. I could see a world.
I could, but it would be like 2 out of 15
TJ
games.
Watt would have
they
to
get
actually
it.
be healthy,
Yeah.
but okay, so
But as
Chiefs
is,
over
as
Steelers.
is no TJ Watt, yeah, Chiefs.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, next Bucks.
I'd take the Chiefs.
Again,
I think that is a closer one,
Healthy
but I'd take the
Baker.
Chiefs.
Healthy Baker, that's a little different, but yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs too.
All right, so Texans.
Chiefs.
I'll take the Chiefs. Veterans versus rookies. Rookie coach, rookie team.
Okay. I'm writing this down because I want to make sure we got this. We got
I think we can all agree that Pittsburgh is the bottom, though. So, like, that's good. Just put Pittsburgh at 14.
Unless
and
Mason
we're good.
Rudolph.
Oh yeah,
continues
so like
his
that
trend.
I'm
Rudolph led no
so
danger.
next I would probably say the next is the Eagles. What they've been playing right now. Eagles Chiefs, who you taking?
It's almost a toss-up.
I think I'd take the Eagles. Their defense isn't as good, but at least they've got playmakers on offense. Whereas the Chiefs have 3, and they're like 2 of them haven't been playing like playmakers.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that game and it was low scoring, and the Chiefs out physical the Eagles, which that's what I took away most from that game. And honestly, that's the path for the Chiefs is if they just completely go run and turn into a play action team, and then that's where you can really feature Kelce. So I'm not of the belief that they're playing possum, but if you believe that's the case and they're going to have a completely different game plan come the playoffs, like that's the roadmap right there. Is that Pacheco's really your 1A, Mahomes is your 1B, and then Kelce, via play action, that opens everything up for the receivers. Could happen.
Yeah.
As far as Eagles, man, that's tough just because I agree with Tim. I like the Eagles roster in general a lot better. But we actually saw that game, and the Chiefs in large part outplayed the Eagles. So that one's tougher for me. I'd probably lean Chiefs as far as trustworthy right now. I mean, the Eagles have been struggling with the fucking Giants. So
Okay. So it maybe I don't really care if like it's in order from least to highest, but Green Bay Packers.
Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs. Even though the Packers got the best of them in the season, this is the playoffs. Give some veteran some history to it.
Chiefs as well, even though the Packers went toe to toe for them that game and should have won that game, should have had at least a chance at the 3-yard line. So, but I'd go Chiefs too.
Dolphins. We all have, but this neutral field. So I'm saying so.
It would be a toss up. I've already said that.
I think this is literally a 50-50 game. 5 out of 10 times the Dolphins win is how I wrote it. So like put them even with them.
I'd have to
I'll put a
agree
line.
with that. Are we talking as is? Dolphins with the injuries, Chiefs fully healthy.
Yeah, without Bradley Chubb. Yeah.
Then you gotta lean Chiefs. But again, yeah, neutral field. I'd probably be 52-48 Chiefs, but would pick Dolphins.
Yeah.
So
I
lean
agree.
Chiefs. So I'll put both of you as a check for the Chiefs for what I'm doing. Rams.
Rams.
I'm taking the Rams. Sean McVay. Yeah,
Detroit.
I'd take Detroit too.
Yep. Chiefs don't have the offense to compete
Dallas.
with that. Dallas too.
I would take Dallas.
Buffalo.
I'd take Buffalo.
Cleveland.
You don't have to ask me about the 1 seeds, but I would take Cleveland.
Weirdly, neutral field, Chiefs might be okay against Cleveland just because, I don't know, their offense, the way the Chiefs offense is more methodical now. Actually, fuck all that. It's true, yeah, the Chiefs could probably play with the Browns better than, like, say, the Lions, because the Lions are an explosive team. But then I just had visions of that Raiders game on Christmas where they literally could not move the ball 30 to 40 yards against the Raiders. So, I don't know. But then again, I don't think they had Pacheco that game either, right? Pacheco was out. Was he playing Christmas Day?
No.
I think he went out in that game.
He went out in that game, yeah.
In the first half. But Mahomes did not look great when he was in.
He looked awful that game. It's hard. I mean, look, we're going to get a lot of questions answered. Maybe playoff Mahomes does return. Maybe the Mahomes we do know returns. But Browns would be a little tougher than all the other ones just because the Browns you really don't know. But if that defense is playing out full force, yeah, good night. Good night. Because Kelsey can't even get open anymore. I would have that.
Right now, who would you have?
That's almost in the same boat to me as the Dolphins, but the Browns are more trustworthy. I think that one's closer. I can't. Oh, yeah, I'd have to say the Browns, right? They can still run. They can still throw. They're more explosive than the Chiefs, actually, especially since they got Flacco. But the Chiefs would be able to put pressure on Flacco themselves. It really depends on the Cleveland defense in that hypothetical game.
So, Timmy has the Chiefs as the 9th best team in the playoffs right now, and you have them as the 8th best team in the playoffs right now. It's crazy. No, it's weird because when you say something, it's like that's why I wanted to go through it just because I wanted to see. But when you say something like Chiefs aren't top 5, are you sure? Well, then you go through it and you're like, well, they probably aren't actually top 5. Yeah, because me going through really quick, they're not beating San Fran, they're not beating Baltimore, they're not beating Buffalo in my head, they're not beating Dallas, they're not beating Detroit, they're not beating the Rams. But that one's 50-50 to me personally. I would have them I'd have them around the 6. I would have them beating Cleveland, Miami, Green Bay, Philly.
You'd have them at best 6th. At worst,
it's 8th, one thing.
9th.
Yeah, I'd have them anywhere between 6 to 8 right now. I think San Fran, Baltimore, Buffalo, and Dallas are definitively better. I would take Detroit over them, and then after that, you can have conversation.
Here's the thing with how we put it and then how Tim posed the question, though. Like, top 6 to win the Super Bowl. There's not many. Like, I can't trust Dallas ahead of the Chiefs even without their firepower. You know what I mean? So that's where it's tough for me. Because I think if we all, hypothetically, if somehow the Chiefs did make it to the Super Bowl, let's say against Dallas, let's say against the Lions, talent-wise, we'd all look at it and say, okay, the NFC side should win, but we would be like, how the fuck are the Chiefs here? Damn, I don't know if I can pick against the Chiefs. It's that kind of thing. So that's where the top 6 gets iffy for me. But in general, no, this isn't a fucking Super Bowl team. And so Tim has them all the way out at 9. I kind of border at 8. They're a bubble team. Keenan, you had them right at 6 as a bubble team. So, yeah, no, they don't have the talent. They don't have the talent, but, you know.
To be honest with you, I mean, obviously we would have to see it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
To know how the runs went.
Sure.
No, to know how the runs went. To know, okay, Mahomes is back, or whatever is happening. Kelsey can run again. Taylor Swift no longer on his legs and shoulders, and so whatever. But as the teams, like even on teams going on playoff runs, if the Chiefs look the same but managed to pull out wins, and each team had looked the same and managed to pull out wins to get to the Super Bowl, I would pick the 49ers, the Ravens, the Bills, and Dallas all over them. I would pick Dallas over the Chiefs in the Super Bowl if they played right now. Unless you're telling me the Chiefs got back to scoring 36 a game. I don't think... Because I think Dallas can win multiple games. Like, I think they could win a 23-20 game, but I also think they could win a 35-31 game. I think Kansas City could win a 23-20 game. I don't know if they could win a 35-31 game right now.
Can't.
Like, if CD's rolling, Tony Pollard's rolling, if Dak's rolling and that team's rolling, and you have to throw on them, which means Micah can just spin his ears back. I don't know if Mahomes is lasting. It might look a lot like, if that was the case, it might look a lot like his Super Bowl he lost. It might look a lot like that. So
Could.
but,
Very well could.
man, we're just
Especially if
Chiefs
Kadarius
haters because we're
Toney,
telling the truth, though. Don't you worry. We're a bunch of Chiefs haters.
it'll definitely look like that Super Bowl if Kadarius Toney's on the roster still, and he's still catching passes, or at least trying to catch passes.
You mean
Because that was the thing about the Super Bowl was Mahomes was doing everything, his receivers were doing nothing.
Yeah, so but that was fun. That I'm more excited for the playoffs now than I was prior. Just as a last refresh, Kyle has San Fran over Buffalo. Timmy has Buffalo over the Rams. I have Baltimore over San Fran in the Super Bowl. Deebo Samuel MVP. Josh Allen MVP. Lamar Jackson MVP. Going to be a blast of a Super Bowl. Going to be a blast of a playoff run.
Well,
greatness is going to happen because it happens every single year because it's the NFL.
One last question, and maybe I shouldn't ask just in case we do get the matchup, but what would be your score in the Ravens versus San Francisco 49ers?
As of this moment, something along the lines of like 28-21.
Okay. All right.
28-21, 28-24, depending. But I think the Ravens could get to 28, but it'd be a one possession game regardless. I think it'd be a good game still. I don't think the Ravens would handle them like they did the first time.
For sure. For sure. I almost want to do the same. Maybe we'll save it for next time, or maybe we should do it now. I don't know. We've what we got? We're almost at 2 hours. We should have done this last time, but we could do the same exercise with the playoff quarterbacks. Like go through.
Wait, what do you mean?
Pick a quarterback, maybe say Brock Purdy, and like kind of compare it to your list. Like where would we have him before, Stafford, Dak, this one, head to head.
Oh,
where was Purdy in your rankings, by the way? Because you had him, I think 7, right?
7.
Okay, 7 out of 14.
Out of 14.
All right.
I had in order. I had Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matt Stafford, Dak Prescott, C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy.
Okay. And what was the other half?
Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, Jared Goff. Those are the 3 that I could kind of tweak around. 11 was Tua, 12 was Baker, 13 was Flacco, and 14 was Mason Rudolph. People were upset about Flacco at 13. I was like, guys, I understand that he's throwing the ball well right now, but like if you want at max 11, but you cannot convince me he's better than Jared Goff and the rest of them right now.
All right, let me ask you guys this, because I'd say the 3 most divisive out of that group would be Purdy, Dak, and Tua. So which one out of those 3 do you want to do this exercise with?
I'll do it with Purdy. I think he's the most controversial out of all.
All right, so we'll start with him versus Rudolph at 14.
Yeah.
So in a vacuum, are we doing this in a vacuum? No team, just in a vacuum, or we'll say like for your team. So like Tim for the Giants, or me and you for the Pats. Like, would I rather have Mason Rudolph or Purdy? I'd say Purdy for sure.
Yep.
Purdy.
Hold on, I want to write this down. So Purdy, and this is yes.
Shout out to Mason Rudolph though. Actually looks okay. Doesn't look great, but they're winning, and he's doing more than Kenny Pickett did. He's doing more than Mitch Trubisky did, and they had him 3rd on the depth chart for
he's getting the ball downfield. So. It's confusing to me, honestly.
Mm-hmm. To his playmakers, George Pickens, crazy. That man, he hit 1,000 yards with like 56 catches this year. That's incredible. He had like 18.3 yards per catch for most of the season.
I was telling Keenan, I think it was one of the shows you missed actually, but I was telling Keenan they didn't even need to fire Matt Canada. All they needed to do was put Mason Rudolph in. That's all it was. He'd be throwing bubble screens all day though, and like
not
right up the gut
middle
on
of the
3rd and 10.
Field.
Yeah.
Only throwing it outside the numbers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go through Kyle because I have them all listed here. Baker Mayfield.
Baker.
Are you taking Baker over Purdy?
Just like if the Pats said, hey, we can have Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield next year, I'd say Baker.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Baker guy.
I'd take Purdy.
I would take Purdy over Baker. So this I was gonna say this is kind of how I do my rankings for like best quarterbacks or best players in the league. Is if I had a draft, where would I take them? Because like clearly, I can't put Baker ahead of Purdy if I would take Purdy before Baker in a draft if I had the chance to. So that's kind of how I go. But I only go next year because obviously if I got 10 years down the line, you would take the younger guy. And
I think.
So next would be.
I was just gonna say I think Baker is the best or better pure quarterback than Purdy. Like I don't know if Purdy can play the position at as high of a level as Baker can. To say like. Oh, sorry. No, keep going because I can use the same point for other quarterbacks too. So keep going.
Next one, I know the answer to, but CJ Stroud.
Stroud.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no. Jalen Hurts.
Hurts. I'd like to see a little bit more from Hurts, but I'm definitely still taking him.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I'll say this where it's a little different. Again, I don't even like Baker. I shouldn't say that, but I did not like him as a number 1 overall pick. I thought that was like highly overrated, right? In general, though, just as a quarterback, put Baker in the Niners system, and I think he's having a career year. You put Purdy in the Bucs system right now. Not sure I can say the same. Not sure if he'd do as well as he's doing with the Niners. Now, if you flip Purdy and Hurts, I think they have pretty equal results. I think Hurts would shine in Shanahan's offense. Who wouldn't? But I think Purdy would do pretty well in Philly's offense, too. If it's run heavy and you're doing play action, you got Antonio Brown. I think Purdy would do okay.
Say Antonio Brown.
AJ Brown. My fault.
You did.
AJ Brown. The non-CTE Brown. By the way, hold up. On that note, Chandler Jones, who's been going through it this year, he dropped a tribute song to Bill Belichick, and it sounded like it was over Tennessee whiskey. It was like a guitar little thing. It was pretty funny, and it was weirdly okay. It was weirdly okay. It was like that Jay-Z meme or that Jay-Z gif where he's like unsure, but he's bopping along. It was one of those.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like it. I'm personally, I'd take Hurts. I think right now, if I just had to start a team over, I think I would take Hurts a little bit. There's more upside there. But weirdly enough, I would rather have Purdy in the 49ers system. I just think that his game fits it more. Like that,
I think Shanahan,
but I also think if Shanahan was to have Hurts, he would change it to Hurts. But I'm saying if you,
I think Shanahan wants Hurts.
I'm confused by that, Keenan, only because you were very high on Trey Lance, who showed nothing of throwing ability, but you liked his running ability, and Hurts is a better thrower of the football.
Yeah, because I figured Shanahan would make. So here's the thing. I think that if Hurts was to be in Shanahan's offense, the offense wouldn't be the same as it is right now. It would be completely changed to what benefits Hurts. And I think Shanahan's such a brilliant offensive mind. He could make an offense work around Hurts. He can make an offense work around Lamar. He can make one work around Purdy. He can make one around Baker. He can make.
I disagree with that though. I think we've seen that it would be the same offense in general. You'd have more runs for someone like Jalen Hurts. You'd have more design runs, but I think the passing of it all, I think that would largely be the same. You know, it's a lot of underneath slant routes. Like I think, and it's a zone read offense. Like I think the offense in general, the concepts would be the same. It would be geared a little more towards Hurts as far as running the ball and that much because he is a mobile QB.
Yeah, I think he'd call more run
but
plays.
I don't think the offense would be completely changed per se. I don't believe that.
But the way Hurts puts pressure upon the defense would be different. So I mean, I guess if you're saying that they would have the same offense, I just think that if you're going for a traditional drop back passer, that Purdy can do that just as well as Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is better because he can run.
Mm-hmm.
Like in that, but if you're just dropping back, standing in the pocket and passing, which is a lot of what the Shanahan offense is, and it's a lot of anticipation, I think that Brock Purdy is going to be a little bit better of an anticipatory passer than Jalen Hurts. But Jalen Hurts is going to be better off script. Jalen Hurts is going to be more dynamic.
Shanahan's offense.
So that's
Shanahan's offense is very similar to Mike McDaniel's, where it's not so much anticipation or as much as it is like reads. Like if your first option's there, and it's like very short routes to where like, and at least with Jimmy G, they're doing a lot less with Purdy. Like there was a lot of motion originally with Jimmy G. Like it's very QB friendly as far as just like short routes, easy, just dump it off kind of thing, and then let your athletes do what they may. You know, it's a very yards after catch type offense.
Yeah. Also, I think too depends on how if Hurts would be fine not stretching the ball down the field. I also think it takes a little bit of humility to play in certain offenses.
True, but I think Purdy puts the ball down the field much more than Jimmy did. So I think that'd be okay. Yeah. I think it's a matter of how aggressive your quarterback is. I think you put literally anybody on this list.
But I think you could put. But yeah, they'd be better with Shanahan. It's like the McDaniel. I mean the D'Antoni kind of thing.
It kind
I think any point guard with D'Antoni's going to do. His
kind of is, and you know, in the case of a quarterback though, like they would expand. You know, they would increase the offense. You know, they would go up another level with someone like Stafford or whoever, Lamar Jackson, who they could have had technically last year.
Yeah. But I did have a Jordan Love.
It's Love.
I'd probably go Love. That's really close.
Yeah. I think Jordan Love has more ability. Tua.
I'd keep Purdy.
That's tough. I'd lean Purdy. I would lean Purdy. I think he throws his bad passes aren't as bad as Tua's. But they each play in a very similar offense.
I have Purdy here.
I'd probably lean Purdy.
I have Purdy here. They're the same. I think if you put Purdy in the Dolphins offense, it gets a touch better. I think if you put Tua in the 49ers offense, it gets a touch worse. But I think it's very similar production. Because I think they do pretty much the same thing. I think Purdy's just a hair better at it.
He's a right-handed Tua.
He's a right-handed Tua. I think he does it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Yep, next one's a no for all of us, but it's Matt Stafford. We're all clearly taking Stafford over Jared Goff. We're all taking Jared Goff, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I'll take Goff.
You had Purdy ahead of Goff, though, right?
In this list, yeah, I have also this comes off of this was coming off your system too, like how you are. Because if Mahomes had the 49ers, he wouldn't be having the season he's having. So going into the playoffs, it's like how you're playing, and how you're playing is affected on what your team is. If that makes sense. So that was a little bit that was added into
that's the one where we had,
if that made sense.
We had a disagreement there. That's where I had the disagreement last time. Was I had Goff and I think Love ahead of Purdy. He's kind of an enigma, honestly. We'll find out a lot.
Yeah, no, he's kind of weird. And then the only one else I'm going to ask is then Joe Flacco.
Purdy. Yeah. Joe's a good story. But
in general, Purdy, because Flacco can't move. I'm still dumbfounded by what's going on.
All right, so yes, and yes. Because no one's taking Purdy over Dak, Josh Allen, Lamar, or himself. So, yeah. Or sorry, the last one would have been Mahomes. No one's taking him over any of those four, right? If you do, please speak now and we can crucify you then.
So, we can prepare the social media comment section.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want, we'll clip you for a moment so then we can all get Kyle 1, 2, 3. So Kyle, you have him 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So, Kyle, you have him as the 11th best quarterback, just purely. And Timmy, you and I have him at about the 10th. About 9th to 10th.
About a 14th. That makes sense.
That makes sense. It makes sense to me. I said that Goff, that Purdy, Love, Hurts, Goff, or Purdy, Hurts, Love, Goff could be flipped around in any way, as I said then. Right now, I think that those quarterbacks might be a little bit better than him, but the situation and how Purdy's playing right now, you can kind of have him deterred. But if you're starting a team, I kind of do it in two separate range. If I'm starting a team, I would do it a little different. Because if I was starting a team, right now I'd still take Mahomes over Lamar. As of right this moment. But yeah. So, Warner Brothas Podcast. We've come to the conclusion of the Warner Brothas Podcast. Guys, great episode.
For
Love
sure.
it.
I can't wait.
Follow us on Instagram. Oh,
sorry, no,
I
was just gonna say, can't wait for Monday to review the weekend games. I guess we'll do pregame before. We'll do how we did most of the season. So I'll get out of work early, get back here for like 6:30. Yeah, no, that sounds like fun.
Kyle, I'm locking it in right now. We're doing a live take on Sunday night before the Detroit game, after the 4:00 game.
Sure.
We're doing it in between those games. But Warner
I
Brothas
say we do one
Podcast.
Saturday as well.
That sounds good to me. We can do one after all games. Do it like 11:30. Kyle, that's him. Timmy, that's him. Keenan, that's me. That's Castro on live take. That's Keenan on live take. Timmy, can you pronounce your name on TikTok?
Shabuya.
Shabuya. That's your boy Shabuya. So if you see Shabuya commenting, that's the guy. That's him coming to the defense of Warner Brothas Podcast. Thank you, everybody. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all over social media, Warner Brothas Podcast. Enjoy one of the greatest gifts we get in the world, which is the NFL football playoffs. We'll see you guys on Monday.
Like a man.